I like eating there. Come on, you guys.
Hey, I liked it as a college kid because it was all you could eat.
Oh, yeah.
Like what? The buffet is open?
Apparently the beef wrap wasn't quite as good. The turkey sandwich was up there. Kind of hard to screw with those.
Yeah. Just talking to Willie, how, the articles that Willie included in the packet do a much better job of explaining the HH and the tax stuff than I could do.
It's still complicated though.
It is complicated.
All right, how are we feeling? Do you guys want 4 more minutes to read over those warrants?
Just 30 more seconds.
Yeah, there was
Willie, did you see the rate of inflation for Denver, Aurora, Lakewood area for how much local governments can increase their revenue each year? And that's what I'm- It's not that different, but it's just funny.
Okay, I'm all set. I was in a room with 100 lawyers. And we still couldn't figure it out.
Just to pull up the permit application here. Technology.
It's great if it works.
All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:37. All right, first up, we have our bills and warrants, which just came in front of us. Does anybody have any questions about bills and warrants?
The sales agreement with Wagner was on the CAT, is that right, or was that the road graders? 24,495, about 2/3 of the way down. The 170.
Oh, that's a water truck.
That's the, oh gosh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, which is a reimbursable, correct?
Well, actually, we received the money, so we're good.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a, mine will be 0.
okay, sweet guy. What was a courthouse stone visit from Silverton Restoration 24499? Did he just look at the condition of the stone, like on the sills and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, that's just his bill for consulting work on the restoration, but that's what he was focused on, was this
Okay,
stone stuff that hopefully the guy will be doing some work on here.
okay, page 2, Bruce Herring, that's just a grant, that's
Right.
okay. And then is Cassandra Roof Yoga part of a grant? 24511.
Yeah, I think it's one of,
One of something with Becky's
yeah,
office, okay. 24530, the Silverton Community Radio, was that a donation the county did? Is that something we budgeted for? The underwriting, I don't remember, budgeting anything for them. You know, I know we have a list of
Yeah.
folks that will do a little donation to, but I don't remember doing anything to that.
Does that maybe have to do with the advertising for the lodging tax?
No,
No?
That would be under their auspices, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'll have to check.
Yeah, I'm just curious. And then, the reimburse
I'm not gonna say anything real stupid. Okay.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, there you go. Just wanted to go on record saying that last summer I got contracted from Brian Anderson 9318 to dig their 3 test pits. Might as well excavation, that was last summer. Don't have a contract with them, got paid by 9318, and that's it, just declaring that. I don't have a contract with these guys to do anything or do any further work. It was with Brian Anderson for that one job. So
And then, we had talked and.
we had chatted, yeah,
We had chatted about it and.
about whether I need to recuse or not.
Yeah, and the point was, there is no ongoing contract, there's no anticipation that you're gonna receive a contract for any further work because that contract, I don't even think is involved in the project anymore. And the second thing would be, do you believe that you can sit and discuss this and give your opinion in an unbiased manner?
I do.
There you go. Continue.
Want to put it on record.
No, I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Because if you had anything else, you would be recusing yourself.
Absolutely.
If there was an expectation of work
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that.
Anything that would have financial benefit, you have to recuse yourself.
Exactly.
As far as public hearing, we want to let the applicant make a presentation and stuff like that.
Come on, you guys welcome, sit up at the table here.
Yeah, there it is. Is it now?
Yeah, so I think, well, I don't have a presentation or a set of drawings, but you know, we're orienting the building to with the concrete, tall concrete walls, you know, with the kind of bit at the avalanche path, so, or the potential avalanche path.
Could you introduce yourself too, just for the record?
Yeah.
This is a public hearing.
I'm Keegan Feeney, the designer for the cabin and put together the submittal, so. But yeah, I think, you know, we're doing what we can to minimize the avalanche danger, and also staying well away from the historic miner shed over there, and the, you know, the temple structure just kind of respects that, just leaving it alone and staying well away from it, kind of tucking it into the trees, I think is our way of kind of respecting the history of the area. So, and yeah, I think, you know, we're trying to use the site, you know, keep it minimal impact as possible with what we have. So,
And just for the record, you're representing the applicant here today.
yes, yeah,
There you go.
Thanks.
sorry.
Anyway, I'm Rick Feeney. So.
Put
And
together.
I speak up.
And
I think one other thing to say is that there's an existing road and that's all that we're right off of that road. So we're not, you know, planning on doing it.
so there wouldn't be any
Sort of thing.
new.
That's coming in back, siding up and take the old original road back in.
Where it got washed out? No.
Yeah.
No, we're not halfway to that.
We're not, that culvert washout is not on that road goes through the site and then off the property on that, and that's on BLM land, and then it comes back onto the site, so it was not feasible to
And we were
replace that.
up there, well, for the last planning commission meeting, and it was the reason that culvert got washed out.
And then, yeah, so, and then the other thing I wanted to point out is Chris Wilbur, the avalanche engineer, he broke the avalanche risk into white, which is really no danger. And then he had yellow, which is minimal danger, blue and red, which is max danger. So we're in the yellow zone. So it's not, you know, in a in an avalanche path. You know, so.
And didn't he say he kind of made up the yellow zone classification, I think? Talking to us one time, it was only, I don't know, I gotta remember that phone call. But, you know, he's an engineer. He's gonna be as cautious as possible.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicants by the commissioners before we open a public hearing?
Yeah, I got quite a few. According to this avalanche map here, this looks like almost like a blue zone coming right across there on appendix C, run number 2, it's page C1. Looks like this is a blue zone coming right across here. Isn't that where the cabin is right there?
I'm thinking the cabin is kind of right here.
Go back to this picture. Where did I just see that cabin?
It'd be a minimum, yeah.
Okay, it still looks like it's right in that zone, right there. So what is it? 'Cause that shows blue all the way across this right here. Is that right? It's showing blue right here. This is hard to read. It's just
What's page you on, Scott?
I'm on page C1 and then figure 12, which is kind of middle of the.
So this is a white zone,
That's a white zone.
and then this is yellow,
Okay.
and then blue, so it's right on the.
Am I looking at this wrong? This appendix here that shows blue? It would be nice if these lines continue to act the mining claim so we can actually see where the avalanches are coming from. This doesn't really do much to me here.
Yeah, I think this is the engineer's kind of more direct look, you know,
Alright.
close at the site.
Okay.
With his best. That's.
I mean, it just, we've had other things where it just shows. You know, that you're not gonna show it up here, but you can see where the toe of the avalanche comes down and stuff like that. This doesn't come very much. But this does, but this is correct, this is a blue zone there. This is all blue zone here. With yellow right there, but it shows the cabin, this is blue from here to here. Looks like to me.
We could, I think we could get Chris Mulder back up here on site
Mhm.
and, you know, you could make that a condition that we could get him back up here and verify a location.
Yeah, and then you guys just talked about moving the cabin size in the trees, which if you moved it in the trees, you're definitely gonna be pretty close to the yellow or blue zone. We're supposed to be making the decision on the cabin location you put here, but you're talking about moving it into the trees.
Well, it's in the trees, but basically, we were thinking of kind of having it. In our initial drawings, it was kind of right on this access road. We were talking just like, 10 feet. Further up into the
trees a little farther.
So not like a different location.
Okay.
just Kind of sliding it.
All right.
So.
And with that concrete V, that's just gonna be the back wall of that cabin, right? The concrete V, there won't be any windows or anything like that. Is this question for you, Willie, is the EPA done with Prospect Gulch? Isn't Prospect Gulch one of the study areas? We had Burroughs Creek, but wasn't Prospect Gulch a study area? It's one of the. Does that ring a bell, Pete?
I don't know.
Not as one of the original, I was only involved with the original 48, so.
BLM's getting ready to do a bunch of work at the LAR.
Yeah.
Are they satisfied that this remediation is done here? I know they're gonna be doing, I would suspect they'd be doing work around the corner.
Up at the Henrietta,
Yeah, like, what is that, eight level, I think?
yeah,
But
but they're quite a ways away from,
Yeah.
and they're way away from the Henrietta.
Just so that the applicant would be aware that there's potential for heavy truck traffic there someday, I think.
Yeah,
And then, we definitely have to, set our own county parameters, since that's, I wouldn't, it looks like the cabin site may or may not be in that remediated site, Willie. I mean, this is all remediation here, but I don't know if the cabin site is in that.
I think it's, I mean, it's just out of it, and I don't know how much was actually remediated here as opposed to just disturbed. I think most of the remediation
Was this area?
was this area up here.
Okay, so this wasn't
Yeah.
anything.
I think it's just more disturbed area than
Okay.
anything.
All right. Is the applicant planning on, using this as, just a home but not a vacation rental? Because that would change everything else.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna be rented.
Okay,
It'll be private rental.
then, let's see, I had page 43. I can find it again. There was a question as to whether, where the septic was gonna be, that there was so much loose rock that it might not be an acceptable site. They haven't proven that yet, or have they proven that yet?
I think they, you know, they've done.
I know they did the test holes,
Initial, testing up there, but
but it said there, because of the amount of rock that was encountered, it might not. It could potentially not be acceptable, if there's a lot of tailings and that stuff's gonna be broken it down, so, you know.
so what they would have to do is do an engineered, well, they'll have to do an engineered septic anyway. It means they'll just have to truck in, they'll have to.
You have
take
to
that
bring in,
truck
fine sand and stuff like that, right? Okay, let's see.
And so our regulation on the remediation features. Is this the first time we've used it?
Probably.
So it was submitted to,
CDBG.
okay, and then they're gonna give us a yay or nay on it,
Yeah.
and then that'll be incorporated into this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I did get a call from Mark, who don't use it. It looked, I mean, he didn't see anything wrong with it, but he would give me a formal document that.
I'm sorry, out of curiosity, is the, did the regulation seem to work logically and,
You know, I think so, but I think this was a relatively simple,
good,
you know, I mean, it's, you know, where the
Yeah.
improvement bill, I mean, this is how it's supposed to work, the improvements go here, the remediation was done over here, let's not.
Yeah.
Try to put the improvements on top of the remediation, or if you're going to, then it gets more complicated, so by that standard,
good,
yeah.
just curious.
I didn't see anything with story poles or stakes. I've seen, like, I have like some of these photos of some of the avalanche stream, but I don't know where the site is in relation to these photos.
We did talk about that, at the planning commission, and the applicant said, you know, for sketch plan submittal, that
story
poles were a little premature at this point, but that if they wanted, if we wanted to see those. Because I always mentioned before, Scott, at the planning commission.
Yeah, no, I always think, I always like story poles because that tells the whole story. I mean, if you can see the exact site from several different angles, you can see the scenic view sheds, you can see how it lays in the trees, out of the trees, and even just how close it is, some of these avalanche paths. Because I went on Google Earth, and this bad boy is pretty close to a lot of avalanche paths from both Red Mountain and the north face of Prospect Gulch there. In fact, if I remember, there wasn't a local caught in one of those chutes this year and buried and rescued. Was it one of those chutes? There was an accident in Prospect Gulch this year. Locals don't talk about their accidents a lot of times, but I heard it through the room ago.
I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, that's just real early in the season, that somebody got caught up there, and I thought it was a local. But
I just was up there later in the season and we triggered 5 avalanches in
So it's,
an hour.
it's dangerous terrain and.
Yeah, and we talked quite a bit about that. So there's that kind of big flatter area with the cabin.
Right, yeah, this picture right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So that area that there's quite a few, big chutes that come, well, I shouldn't say that they're big, they're actually pretty short.
Right,
That come down there
right,
and then it kind of crosses but then it would have to cross a big drainage and come back up the other
I
side,
got
back up to County Road 35
okay,
from that side. And then the other side is, I think they call that slide path the Henrietta, which is,
Hmm.
that comes down through the Lark mine there.
right.
That's really the only big slide path, at least in access up there. Does
Does
a big one.
Dry Gulch run?
Dragons is on the other side. So
No, but I mean, you gotta, to start at the bottom, you gotta go up that road and the Dry Gulch comes right over the road, right?
Yeah.
Is that, have you seen that slide run?
I haven't seen it run to the road.
Okay. And
I've
then
seen it
there's,
run even to the county road, but it's possible that it
there
could.
is a, just as you come past Dry Gulch, there's kind of a sparse area, I guess, pretty steep.
Yeah.
Have you seen that run?
I've never seen that one run.
Okay,
And so I have a friend that has a cabin on the Galtee Boy up there. Chris Blatter.
Up
Up
right,
on the
up
ridge.
Dry Gulch. there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's way up the other side.
He didn't put a road in, he just built a, is that?
Trail,
Yeah, with all the
What's a
helicopter.
trail line, yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it there.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, he spent a lot of time there and he's the only one that really worries him there is that. Is that one
The one by
past?
the Lark, that gully that comes down.
Yeah,
It'd be on the east side of the Lark, that's pretty big.
yeah,
And it goes in, they would push you into a train trap also, that's
Yeah.
a big time train trap down there.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I mean, theoretically that sparse area could run, but I think it just gets so much sun and it kind of
south facing. yeah.
south facing and it kind of stabilizes out. I've never seen that on the road there.
I guess probably my biggest worry about this is putting. We've done lots of summer cabins. I feel confident with those because those people aren't going up there in the winter. But this is a cabin being built as a ski cabin. And the problem I have with that is the same problem I had with Opus, is it is attracting people into dangerous country. I feel like Opus is responsible for four fatalities and almost a fifth. Are we setting our EMS people up for disaster by letting these guys build in an area where it's swept by avalanches, both trying to get in and then accessing all that big terrain up there that you can easily run? Or are we just setting ourselves up for a disaster, especially with our EMS?
So the big group that I see up there a lot, well, there's quite a few motorized folks that go up there too, and I've seen them have a lot of close calls. But the big commercial group that I don't think we have any power or control over is the Red Mountain Lodge and the folks on the other side coming over from the other side.
Oh, they come over from their side?
Yeah, almost daily.
Okay.
Almost daily, they're up there and so they're coming in from the top
There
over.
could be triggering
Into
from the
there.
top down
could-
then for
yeah.
people trying to skin up to the.
And that worries me a lot more than people coming up this road, because this road, actually, I feel is a pretty safe one to go
Yeah.
up and.
I mean, you just wouldn't go on it if the avalanche danger was high, because of the
Yeah.
one like by the Lark. Well, I mean, you're gonna be running a gamut just going up the Cement Creek Road anyway.
Yeah,
I just feel like by allowing a specific ski cabin in that area, we're setting ourselves up for problems, potential problems for sure. Because most of these other cabins, it's we okay them, but we know they're just going up there in the summer. But these guys are gonna be are specifically gonna be up there in the winter. And I think that's a danger to themselves and also danger to our EMS. And it could be danger to others. I mean, if they're up there triggering slides, the other guys or them could be triggering slides and other people too, just because there's more people up there. So I have a problem with that.
I worry a lot about my friend Chris up there. He's, by his own definition, a magnet for misadventure.
Not good.
So,
What
but he's-
did planning commission think about that? Because especially as far as, let's say there's a these guys are up there, there's a big blizzard, drops 2 or 3 feet of snow, and one of them has a heart attack. How are we gonna get them out of there if there's no access? And they know there's no emergency access, but if there's a call for help, then and these guys, our EMS is good about not going.
Yeah,
Like those guys in Overpass, they didn't go. I mean, they just said, sorry, can't.
yeah. Honestly, I think if we're at that point with the EMS for getting up there, we should be worried about driving across the big slide paths on Cement Creek. Just to get up there, you know, I wouldn't want to drive across
2 or 3 feet of snow.
Irene's, Minnesota, Fairview.
Right, I don't
If-
think
if-
Bruce would allow it, maybe, or
Yeah.
Louis would even close. Louis has done that, he's just closed the road when it's too dangerous, so.
Yeah, and that's the kind of situation that I feel like if it's that bad, then probably we're talking about Cement Creek and the highway on Red Mountain.
What if
being closed
Louis
as well.
closes the road and they're up there? That's a problem too,
We do have requirements of
satellite phones.
satellite
I think
phones and
that's a
things
good
like
idea.
that.
So that's not gonna help them if there's trouble. I mean, even if if the roads are closed and you're isolated and
Yeah.
EMS isn't gonna go there, I mean, you can have a satellite phone, but it ain't gonna help you because they're not gonna go up there.
Yeah, I feel like at that point, we're not just worried about these folks, we should also. be
And we're worried about Silverton Mountain, we're worried about Gladstone, we're worried about every other
Yeah.
place on one
Yeah,
bill.
the EPA working
Yeah.
on stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I think they're not in any different.
Yeah, and those guys,
scenario
the EPA
situations.
guys, they've been isolated up there before, if I remember.
And actually, I'll tell you this, I'd be much more worried in these kinds of situations about the folks with cabins at Minnehaha, because that road does slide through. The trees.
Yeah, it's hard to see
Yeah,
the trees, even though it's
yeah.
low angle, it does come. through the
Yeah,
trees,
and people have gotten into some trouble and been taken off of that road on snowmobiles and things too. So that, I feel like the Prospect Road is a little bit better access to where these guys are. I mean, past there up into the higher
Sure.
basin, sure, you're getting into some big
Or-
terrain with a
but
lot of.
we're putting, let's say, 10 people go up for a weekend. At the cabin or something, you just put 10 people at risk up there. That might not have been up there if there hadn't been a cabin.
10 people in a 1,000 foot cabin might be a little uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, Scott, right?
Not very good.
Yeah, yeah, unless they're really getting along.
They're all married, all 10 of them.
So that's just one of my objections, you guys, just, I don't have a problem being a summer cabin, but if it's gonna be a winter cabin, I have objections. It's too dangerous.
Well, and we kind of have to assume on any cabin that we approve that it's.
Well, they're all,
a winter
I
cabin,
agree,
because
sir.
The initial applicant had no.
I mean, ever since Fred app, we're not doing summer cabins anymore, they're all year round, right?
Yeah.
Am I correct on that?
Yes, you are, we
Okay.
never, I mean, the county.
Oh, right, we've never specifically,
Right,
right,
You did once. I think you did once,
Fred app about 30 years ago.
put restrictions on it, summer only or something like
that
that.
one should never have been allowed.
And it's,
Correct.
it's not really workable from a legal standpoint.
No,
It's
Yeah, because
no longer there.
because we can't, nobody can watch, it's
No.
just,
It's toothpicks.
Well, and I think there's some legal issues as well about denying access to your property and things like that, but.
We talked a lot about avalanche here. I think that the avalanche stuff on the other side, well, at this point, I think before we keep going into, our discussion, we should open the public hearing.
right. And I do like, it's an observation we made with a couple other cabins is you can build it to be bomb proof, but you're not bomb proof if you're outside of the cabin when the slide comes down. That's just an observation made in Minnehaha on a cabin and then the cabin where you dug that little hole by Howardsville on the river road there, just off of the highway there, right next to the big whatever the name, Brendel slide. Those guys wanted to put a road through the slide path down to their cabin. I mean, even though the river road is through that, but we let them build on the side of it, but not just saying beware.
Any other questions for the
Uh,
applicants or staff?
Not right now, you guys.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and open the public comment. If there is anyone from our listening audience, who would like to make a comment regarding this application, please let us know. That would only be 2 folks in Zoom room.
And I can just say that
Hold on, Lisa unmuted. Lisa, would you like to say something?
I'm listening in because I've been asked to prepare a cumulative impact report, so that's why I'm just listening to the discussion.
Thank you very much.
So I was just gonna say the adjoining property or property with owners within 1,500 feet of this application were sent notices letting them know that this application was coming in, and the only comment I received from them was one of the property owners just wanted to be sure that County Road 35 wasn't going to be changed at the end of their driveway because they had property above that, and
Yeah.
and there's no request for that, and if there was, I don't think the county would approve it anyway, so.
Okay, well, hearing no other public comment, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Pete, Scott, you guys have more stuff you wanted to comment on? The avalanche thing was a big concern of the planning commission, just making sure that it was on the right sides of the lines. I had just one question regarding that same thing. I believe that Scott was showing on. You guys can. I do agree, Scott, that having these avalanche lines outside of the boundary of this would be
It'd
fine.
be helpful.
Because so like this red zone right here, it's like, are they saying that there's avalanche danger over here that there's that, or? Because man,
That was.
I feel like those red ones are coming down and. Those both sides of that red line that's the drainage right there, so.
the drainage itself, you think?
Yeah,
that-
it's super deep down.
Where's
both sides of that.
which
But
direction?
it's really not.
So, yeah, I don't-
Road.
I think it's.
I guess it's up here actually.
This.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's like a
it's
drainage.
Like, in relation to this. correct?
Well, really, if they just extend the lines out of the boundary, so you can see where the slides are coming from or where the toe ends up at.
Yeah,
Like this one, I assume is coming from, I guess, the opposite side.
Yeah. basically what's happening here is this. This is the big drainage that's
Right.
coming down right there.
Yeah.
And it's super steep down the side of this and into it from the road down is probably. At least 100 feet, but probably 150 down
Yeah.
below it, so
I guess
I think it just
goes around.
fills up, but I think.
Just can't
This-
tell which
yeah.
direction it's coming
Yeah.
from, by
Because they're
that,
not expanded.
right?
Yes.
And the question
Yeah.
is it yellow this way and blue this way? If it's blue this way, then the cabin's sitting in blue.
Yeah, I think it
Right,
goes
you need to know.
white, yellow, blue.
Oh, I
red.
see what you're saying.
Yeah, so it just kind of steps.
It just kind
Oh,
of,
yeah.
as it goes steeper. And that's, I actually was thinking that we were in yellow here because we were worried about this slide over here above the Lark or the Henrietta slide or whatever they call that there. But I mean, and this isn't
I think
alluvial,
it's coming off like that. Right?
yeah,
Yeah, you can kind of see some bare areas, but I think
I got this right here too, so the cabin's gonna be like right there.
Any of this stuff kind of coming down this way, huh?
Yeah, that's what I can guess, it's not that steep coming down through there, but obviously something did go through there.
Yeah, there's no trees in a lot of this area.
Yeah.
Why aren't there any trees?
Plenty of big old growth trees right there.
Right.
There's like an 18-inch guy.
Yeah, I saw that one, that picture,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good size.
yeah,
All right, well,
That would be helpful to see
yeah, we
where
can
the slides are
talk
coming
about
from and
about that.
even an arrow just showing
Mhm.
which way it's coming from, because that's very confusing on the claim itself.
Right.
Did you get something Mr. Wilbur has and can provide later, or?
Well, yeah.
I'm sure, yeah, we
Right?
can
You
have.
should be able to do it.
Yeah,
could do
see
that.
what
I bet
it
that's
goes out to.
something.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get that. to you.
We will get that.
I agree with you.
The question, I think, is for that, like, I mean, for a sketch plan approval, since this is gonna have to come back to us again, is that an item that we need now to table this application till later, or is that something that comes back through with preliminary and or final?
Willie? What do you think on that? The question that Austin just brought up.
And, you know, I think you could do it either way. I mean, I think you could approve, but the sketch plan and that just add that as one of the conditions.
Okay,
Additional
That
evidence.
allows it to just keep moving forward.
Yeah, just make sure the applicant,
Then, you know, if you don't get good results. You know, but the preliminary final. Then you just-
And then you want to add the historic review.
With that.
That's already gonna be the existing condition, right?
Yes.
That visit with historic review also. Both those.
just so the applicant's perfectly clear that the sketch plan is coming with conditions going forward regarding the clarification on the avalanche situation and on the historic structures.
Yeah.
Including the placement of the cabin, anything that goes along with that as well.
And story poles. Right?
Yeah,
And any other things that might come up.
Yeah.
yes, you know, I mean, I hear what you're saying about the safety stuff, but I just, we have so many cabins beyond that are in much worse situations.
many
in this
houses
as far
are a
as
great example. They're
access.
sitting right, and I mean, a lot of people are going up there to access all that. It's the same kind of thing. There'll be a lot of people up here trying to access this. I mean, we're just seeing that
Yeah.
with those cabins. They're not just summer use cabins, they're definitely winter use cabins.
And even the B&B that's going on the hidden treasure, right? I think is the one there just past the Minnesota slide path there. That's a, you know, I think we're talking about the same kinds of situations that if you're gonna be worried about going up the Prospect Road and being in that basin and being on the other side of that Minnesota slide path, somebody could be up there and we could close the road and they could, you know, not have any enforcement to.
Same
People wandering
situation
around.
with the Red Mountain guys. I mean, they built in a fairly safe spot, but their clients are accessing a lot of dangerous countryside from there. So just on a daily basis too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really surprised how often you see those guys up there. It's not close to the Red Mountain Lodge for them to hike up to come
Yeah.
over to Prospect on the other side and ski that a bunch, but. They're.
Are they meeting them at the bottom? Are they skiing out then from there? Are they hiking?
No, they're hiking back
skiing
up and
back?
going over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even if you choose a nice safe route to come down or better.
If you're coming up, you're
Then
doing-
coming back up, you're putting
spending-
yourself in more danger going
Spending
back
more
up.
time on a more dangerous slopes.
Yeah,
Huh. Yikes. That, it's almost philosophical because anyone whose cabins could potentially be in a. Are exposing people to danger, if they so choose to go up there to ski.
yeah. And it's,
I mean, even if we eliminated every cabin, the people that are just out there. Recreating for the day.
You're not gonna
I
stop
mean,
them.
They
Yeah.
are outnumbered,
yeah.
you know, with maybe with the exception of Opus.
And avalanche schools I've seen up there too, including the semi-affiliated Silverton Avalanche School as well,
Right?
up there.
No
longer.
No longer.
No longer affiliated.
Yeah, they're separate entities.
Yeah,
Yes, let's be clear.
yeah, okay.
And there's just more people in the back entrance.
While you're here, brother.
You know, People people.
There were a lot more calls for search and rescue in winter backcountry than there was 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot more fatalities too.
It's not slowing down.
No,
No.
Yeah, any other comments for these guys right now? Like I said, entertain a motion for.
I'd make a motion, to approve sketch plan of the Mineral King load with all conditions being met. You want me to list the conditions?
Okay, so we've got the staff recommendations.
All staff recommendations and
but we also asked for story poles.
story poles, historic review.
Clarity on the avalanche pass on that claim. Just so
From Mr. Wilbur.
we can see which direction and where they're coming from, just show the entire path. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had the story poles, we had the avalanche reserve.
Just to take that picture of the mining claim where the cabin is, and it had, red, yellow, white, but to extend the slide path. Out of
Clarification on that,
out of the boundaries, that would make more sense.
I couldn't remember if there was something else you brought up or not. Those were the two that I.
Location of the location of the cabin. as
The
well.
cabin.
Location.
Yeah.
Yes, because they were talking about moving it a little bit into the trees, but I think that would even be better for scenery.
Well, and that's when we met with Dirk Nelson, the surveyor. Dirk Nelson. I don't explain that. Dirk Hatter, he's gonna stake that out for us, so he just wanted to know when we might have the on-site, and he just, so he can make sure he gets that done previous to that. So whenever that's convenient for you all.
And then all those things would be. Ultimate decisions on this would be contingent upon review once all those other clarifications are made.
So do you ever see communication with skiers where, let's say you're starting to skin up something, but then you notice there's a group up there. Do you ever see radio communication between groups like, where, like you're there, you see these guys, hey guys, we're down here. Does that ever happen very often?
Yeah, actually, there's kind of like an unofficial radio channel that people are on for safety and communication, and frequently we end up on each other's channels on accident, even if we're valleys over.
Because it would be nice, like with, like the Red Mountain guides, knowing, like, say you decide to go up Prospect, it'd be nice to know if they're gonna be in the area. Just an idea, but.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that area is, it's pretty open, so
You got some pretty good visuals.
it's pretty good visuals. There,
Okay.
there could be a little bit if you were like up above this claim, and above that flatter spot with the cabin, there's a road that kind of old road cut that kind of switchbacks through the trees there. And more or less just like one big cut
Right,
going across there, but you could potentially have somebody from the next kind of bench up.
and well, that ridge line on that side comes down, the ridge line comes down, you might not even see them on the ridge line.
Yeah,
Till they come over.
yeah, until they come over that. But I to be honest, I haven't seen that happen, because you could see that if somebody else was doing that, you could see it from further up the valley.
Sure. Okay.
See that, but I haven't actually seen anybody do that, because there's kind of enough room spread out. And even
It's pretty wide valley.
the skiers and the motorized people kind of have, separate spots.
Do
that
you
they
see
can do.
snowmobiles up there I mean, I could see skiers bringing their snowmobiles, but do you see recreational snowmobilers kind of?
Yeah,
Up there
especially
quite a
'cause
bit, too.
some of those guys will come over from Red Mountain too, and come over to the other side. Some people start on the.
Adding a little flavor to the danger.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did we get a second?
No, we do have a motion on the.
We should probably get a second.
I'll second.
And then you should
Yeah.
talk some more.
Thank you.
And. Sorry, I just had one other comment too, just from the planning commission. The applicant was there for the planning commission, and one of the things I asked was, are you okay? Obviously, he owns kind of a big swath of this claim going up, and asked him if he was okay with people continue to ski that and be on his property there, and he said he had no issues with that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Like some others up on top of, oh, shut up.
yeah.
I almost let it, I almost said.
I don't know,
But-
in a second.
Yeah, so yeah, we have a motion second. Is there any other discussion, or Scott, do you have any other questions?
No, just trepidation about
Yeah,
more people in an area.
yeah,
I like the fact that it's 1,000 square feet. And that's, thank goodness we have some of that zoning in there, because it's a very, it's unobtrusive.
That's what it's there for. isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I do think the architect has done a good job as far as the visual aspect.
I don't think you're gonna see it very much.
I mean, it's not gonna be, it's not, I mean, if you look at that property, it's pretty hard to hide anything up there, but I think the way they designed it and the material they're using and where they're putting it, I think they're doing a good
It's not like the cabin just over the ridge line that was built in the tundra.
Yeah.
Which is quite visible from all angles, and even the yurts, on top of the knob there are quite visible, but your area didn't have any kind of zoning in place at that time for that.
Yeah.
I didn't
All right.
mention any names.
Oh, you're doing really good. You're doing a great job.
all right, well, we'll go ahead and vote, all in favor, say aye.
I,
All right. Unanimous. Unanimous.
Well, thank you all
Thank you
very,
guys
very
very
much. Yeah. I think you brought up some good concerns, and we will address those, and
Yeah,
if Mr. Vicky will just let us know when he has to do the onsite, we'll get it staked and make it happen.
Thank you.
Dennis Fulbright, I'm the attorney.
Okay, I figured that.
Yeah, I mentioned before.
Yeah.
We'll talk sometime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah.
all right, we have just one more quick thing before we get to you guys here. Our next appointment is a public hearing for the amendment to chapter 10 floodplain hazard areas of the zoning and land use. We've been through this one before, but do you want to give us a quick synopsis, Willie? And
We've done this before, we've also done it before.
Don't want to do it.
We tried to make it as simple as possible, changing the dates to the floodplain map from what was existing to the new one. The state didn't have a problem with that, the feds did. They said our ordinance was too old and hadn't been updated to cover all the things in it, so they provided me with I mean, why have a 5-page regulation if you can have a 20-page regulation?
Exactly.
Let's stop at the more pages. Yeah.
And 10 pages of definition for the 10 pages of regulation. So anyway, the Colorado has a model ordinance it's a model ordinance for floodplain. I told them that we do everything by resolution, if it's gonna stay in our land use code, they'd be okay with that, so mainly what I did was I really numbered it and to coincide with our regulations. And so we were back to adopting, if you would so choose to adopt resolution number 2023-06, a resolution amending the zoning and land use regulations concerning floodplain maps and floodplain regulations, which is all of chapter 10.
I thought it was interesting. Willie said somebody, was it with the state or the feds that asked you how many permits do you usually do annually for floodplains? Thinking that this was a big deal in San Juan County, and the response was none ever. 20 years it was 0, so now we have like a 30-page annual.
Because they were real concerned about between, they allowed us to operate under the, the last change, but they wanted to make sure they got this done, and that if we had too many applications coming in between, how would we deal with those? Like, and then I explained to them, this is everything that you said, subject review. If somebody comes in and wants to build in the floodplain, generally, we're gonna tell them no.
yeah,
We're gonna make them move it to somewhere else.
yeah,
exactly.
Except for the cabin up in Cunningham, that was floodplain and avalanche,
Mm.
but it's before our time, so.
And,
Just
you know,
following the past too.
I'll jump on this sword a little bit as well. When Willie and I were going through the first iteration, I was pretty confident they weren't gonna bother us too much if we updated the floodplain maps and kept the regulations, because frankly, pretty good regulation already right now. So I was a little bit surprised when they rejected it, but,
Actually, the other thing was interesting when I was talking to the lady from the feds is she, she actually knew our land use regulations as well as I did. I mean, she went through them to see if any of these things were in some other chapter or addressed somewhere else or in the definitions. I mean, and she had them all, you know, redlined and highlighted and it was like, that actually impressed me that it wasn't just a rubber stamp. She actually,
Wow,
she did her work on that.
did her homework.
think about how many hours that woman, took examining the San Juan County
Yeah, no,
floodplain
it
regulations.
was ridiculous. And I mean, and we could have, I mean, she, like I said, she highlighted all these things that were missing and I could have taken them and plugged them into the current regulations and they were like, it's just easier adopting the model one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Going forward.
So I'm fine with it, I guess.
I'd make a motion.
We need to have a public hearing.
I'm sorry.
Wow, problem.
All right. So, now we're gonna open the public hearing for the floodplain regulations. If anybody has any comments regarding this, please speak now or hold your peace until the next floodplain maps. Hearing none, we're gonna close the public hearing. And any other discussion from the commissioners? I'd entertain a motion to approve the amendment for chapter 10 floodplain hazard areas of the zoning and land use regulations for San Diego.
Actually, we're adopting resolution
Oh,
20
sorry, reading off the.
to adopt the amendment to chapter 10.
Got it.
So I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2023-06.
I'll second
All in favor?
it. Aye.
So we can put that into bed.
When you put together the revised land use code, then with the new chapter 10, you send it, you know, okay, okay.
Yes, I will. Let's see, need signatures on the resolution, also need signatures on the warrants.
Okay. You okay? Do you need Pete's name?
Oh.
Look that out there. It just has Austin and me.
How's that make you feel?
I got a little demotion.
Put your name on it.
Little demotion, Scott, nothing to worry about.
I know that I was struggling yesterday to get this back to us, too.
Well, while we're doing the shuffle, I'll introduce our next folks here. We have Clemens Ranner from Silverton Single Track Society. If you guys want to come up to the table or sit where you are, I figure while we're all playing musical chairs, we can.
All right, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
So, yeah, first and foremost, we're of course super excited to be finally breaking ground on Baker's Park and hope you guys can all make it to the celebration on Saturday at 3 o'clock up there. And let's see, the other thing I wanted to update you guys about was the easement that we needed to cut through that private property. We finally have that now signed, sealed and delivered, and we just need to get that, I guess, recorded with the county, but that's now 100% done.
That was just right down low, right? That
Yeah.
easement?
And we're just cutting a little piece of corner there, but it
Still
made
have
a
to-
big difference. Otherwise, we'd have to go straight up. So,
Like,
and Brian, who's the property owner, he'll be there on Saturday too. So should be fun.
And then I got Lisa with me to kind of give you guys a fundraising update. Before I do that, though, I want to correct something that I misspoke about the last meeting when Dennis, you were asking me about who did our website. And I said it was our design guy from Venture. It wasn't.
Oh. So it's just a compliment.
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody got scolded.
I was very.
Sounds like somebody got scolded.
There were many volunteer hours put into that website, but.
Oh, I'm sorry I did that.
Too funny. Well, on the fundraising side of things, we are, the reason we're here today is to ask for the county to apply on Single Track's behalf for a Colorado Youth Corps Association grant, which you all have generously offered to do that in the past. We've successfully received 2 of those before. So last summer we had a crew come in, and I forget how many weeks of work we had out of that crew, but we've
I want to say it's 3 last summer.
3.
Just
Yeah, and this year we have another crew. They're arriving.
at the tail end of the IMBA crew that they're here for 13 weeks, and the youth corps is going to be here the last 6. This year. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and so we're applying for another 6 weeks of work for next summer. Assuming that this is going to be a 2-year build out on those first 10 miles of trail. So we'll have another crew come in next year, provided we get that grant. And as in the past, there's no money changing hands here. GoCo pays the youth corps directly. So it doesn't really impact anybody once they say yes. We just organize to get them here and the dates and all of that. So that's what we're here to ask for tonight. And then just as far as an update on other things, we're estimating the total cost for phase 1 to be about $916,000. To date, we've raised about $404,000. And that's a combination of grant monies, that CPW grant that was $250,000 that we learned about shortly after the turn of the year, which is what is allowing us to actually move forward with groundbreaking now. Youth Corps grant, again, which I just mentioned, they'll be here this year, and then town county money and the GoFundMe that Single Track has been doing with individuals. So we still have a ways to go. And there are other grants that we are working on in the meantime. I'd like to mention that we've applied for the Colorado State Outdoor Recreation Grant, which is monies that are flowing through it's the Office of Economic Development and International Trade, and particularly their outdoor recreation industry office. For just a little under $70,000, and we're like this close. It's under consideration and pending one thing they need to work out with the BLM. I think we'll be given that grant, and that will be planning and flagging for the next 2 phases. So it doesn't help us in the immediate future, but it'll get us set up for success down the road. And then we are planning to go back to GoCo for their community impact program again. And that grant will be somewhere in the realm of $500,000 to $700,000, probably the request, scaling back just a little from what we were asking for previously, because we're only going to be focusing on that phase 1. That was some of the feedback we got when we had that meeting with a lot of different representatives from the community, and then GoCo was there, the BLM, et cetera. So that's how we're going to be approaching that going forward. We'll be coming back to you later this summer or early fall, because again, the county needs to be the applicant for that, to ask if you'll apply on Single Track's behalf. And at that point, we'll need a resolution and a letter of support as well, but that's down the road a little bit. So tonight.
That's for the community impact grant.
Correct.
Okay.
The Youth Corps grant doesn't need much except for Willie's signature on it and your approval that you're willing to be the applicant.
And because it's a nonprofit, there's no match. Correct?
There is a match required on this one. I think it's 10% if I'm not mistaken. I think you guys have the application in your packet, and it should be on that first page. And Single Track is planning to provide the match for that, because
Yeah, we're getting on it.
Oh,
yeah, you
I
guys,
thought the county-
if there is no cost to the county at all. A little bit of ink for Willie's signature. That's it.
We just have to do a motion.
To authorize me to submit the grant. or, yeah, or. Yeah.
Man, you're gonna have quite the crew up there, hammering away all summer, huh?
It's actually gonna be just two people.
Oh,
Two people with the machine, right?
With a
Yeah,
machine.
with a machine and a chainsaw. Yeah,
you're
Yeah.
kidding. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. I'd like to
Yeah.
see that. I might come up and watch that.
Mini X,
yeah. Yeah, they just delivered it sitting up by Venture.
Yeah.
And they'll use that for like the guy with the chainsaw cuts and then it just tears stumps out and things like that, and doing grades and things like that.
That's my understanding, but I'm curious too. I'm gonna go check it out as well.
I remember a guy, remember that guy up by, was it Anglo-Saxon? All of a sudden there was a, I think Rick Williams did the work, went up with a little machine, whatever it was, that kind of dry up to the guy's mind, it was hidden, nobody knew about it until one of us was walking up there one day and go, what the hell is this? You remember that?
Vaguely,
Yeah, I can't remember. what it
that was
did.
Ricky Williams, that machine, if I leaned wrong, like you could tip it over, that's. how
Oh, is that
small it
right?
was.
Yeah, okay.
They walk behind dozers, right? Little tiny.
No, little
Oh,
excavator,
yes.
little
cool.
tiny mini, X.
Like a jingle?
That's not what these guys are gonna be doing,
Yeah, I think it's close to it. It's pretty small.
yeah. Is
It,
it?
it would fit in easily in a regular car's parking spot.
And so the trail is that wide?
To start with.
So what they're
Yeah.
doing is they're roughing it in the summer. So that we have the access for building next year. So they're not actually closing the trail behind it this year. That'll be next year. Because we need this to access more building for next year, because otherwise we'd be destroying the trail that we just built.
Oh, interesting.
But when it's finished, it'll
Oh, I
come
see
back
what you're
to,
saying.
I don't know how many
It needs
inches
to
it
be
is,
this
but single
wide,
track,
So you can go
Yeah.
up.
so.
Oh,
You build a
okay.
bike trail.
And this one's slightly wider for multi-use, right? Just to accommodate people.
Yeah, yeah, especially the climbing trail too.
Exciting.
But not all the trails are gonna be multi-use, aren't some specifically designated for bikes,
Yeah,
if I remember.
yeah, there'll be some downhill like bikes recommended. I mean, everything is like, you can't tell people they're not allowed, but I
Right.
would not want to go hiking there.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have bikes coming in hot one way or the other.
There'll be some sections that are directional for that reason.
I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want bikes coming up the trail,
Mhm.
so yeah.
But you're probably gonna do signage for that and everything else.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They tend to be pretty steep too. If it's like a designated downhill mountain bike trail, they're usually not real friendly to walk up.
No.
This is very exciting.
We think so.
Go ahead, hit motion, Juan.
And what is the motion gonna be? Just, Approving
Authorize
the-
Willie to submit this grant.
okay,
to go for-
okay, I make a motion that, San Juan County Administrator goes for this GoCo grant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Easy.
Thank
Great,
you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And then we've got one last request. And that is the community impact grant from GoCo. And we had this meeting that Willie and Austin were part of. They had a number of, or a few objections that we feel like we've at this point kind of checked all those boxes mostly for that grant. The one challenge we're still facing is that if we get the grant, it's on a reimbursement basis. And they won't reimburse anything until we've paid out 75% of it.
To the
That-
contractors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I got you.
So it's 5 to 7, hundred that we're talking about. So if we call that 670, so that means somehow we need to come up with $450,000 to pay the contractors before GoCo will pay the money out.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a cash flow issue.
Yeah.
So, but if it's in that situation, we have the money coming in, it's just a matter of getting us through that.
Right, it's granted, it's guaranteed if we do what we say we're gonna do. But yeah, we have to pay the contractors before they'll reimburse us.
Is that something the county can do where we use funds set aside for that? Is that, are we treading on thin ice doing that or not?
Oh, makes me a little queasy. I
don't like that.
we've done it in my other county, where a similar grant situation to build a fire station came up. And it was a reimbursable So we ended up having to own the project, put it out for bid and everything else because we were spending public funds on the project, even though they were being ultimately reimbursed later. The reason it makes me queasy is because you are spending public dollars and you're not the one ensuring that the money comes. It's a third party. You know, making sure the money comes.
Is it better that they just go to the bank then and just say, we need a 6-month loan? I guess it'd be 6 months, because that's what you're gonna spend that summer or 2 summers.
The bank's gonna give them all.
I don't think so. Okay, so
I'd want to explore this a little bit with Willie and see what he thinks. He's been down these roads many times probably, and maybe if we put our heads together, we can think about how we could do it.
I think we can figure something out, but it is a little.
It's a little dicey.
Is it something Region 9 would,
They don't,
there's no LLC or no,
yeah, well, they generally don't fund anything that large. I mean, even if.
yeah, that's right.
I mean, they could potentially, but that would. I don't think they want to commit to it because it eats up so much of their working capital as far as loans and stuff.
Right.
I mean, we could explore that for sure. I don't know.
I'd want some time to give it some thought.
Yeah.
And
We just want to put it out there.
No,
so you guys can
Yeah,
think
we
about it.
figured there would need to be some discussion and.
great
et
idea
cetera.
to get it out there and so that we could start chewing on it.
Yeah, better to discuss it now than.
Yeah, we have the grant, but we don't have the money.
Yeah, well, I don't think that they wouldn't let us pass go without having this piece figured out, I think, at this point. This is one of their last kind of sticking points.
how have we done it with
Now,
the state historic review board, or state, when we get those grants? A lot of those are reimbursable.
everything we have is reimbursable. The couple of the differences with this is one. It isn't our project.
Yeah.
It's
we-
private, considered to be a
I mean,
private.
it's our project as far as the grant application goes, but we don't own
Yeah.
the trail.
Right,
We did preschool, we own the preschool.
right.
So
In fact, BLM
that's
is
an
still on
issue.
the trail, even though you put the trail.
Right.
BLM still-
And then the other issue is just cash flow. I mean, you're talking, $400,000 or $500,000.
And where are you gonna come?
We can probably make that work, but it depends on what time of year it happens to do. And I mean, and I guess that would be my question is, now, if, just for clarification, that you actually have to spend 75% of the money before they'll do any reimbursement?
Yeah, I can
That's how I
read you
understand it.
what Estrella sent us as far as the requirements. So the funding terms are GOCO prefers to disperse funds on a reimbursement basis with a single payment occurring when the project is completed. However, grantees can request one progress payment of up to 75% of the grant amount prior to project completion, with the remaining 25% paid upon project completion.
That actually says something different.
That's
Yeah.
something different than what you were presenting. to
Right.
Is
It says we can request up to 75%.
Up to 75%.
So if halfway through the project, we can, if we spent 50%, we can request 50% of that cost. Now, that's the only time we're gonna get money until the end of the project.
Yeah.
But we don't have to spend 75%.
No.
Before
We don't have to
like that.
spend 75% to get 75%, because that's how I read this.
No.
But
No,
No, it's up to 75%. I mean,
You can actually request, they're saying you can request 75% of that.
if we spent 90% of the project and we still had 10% of any, we could request.
we could get 75% back.
of that.
But if we spend less than 75%, can we get 75%?
No, we can't get 75%.
Okay.
We can get,
50% if we
50%.
spend 50%.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the other thing that I would point out to you is, the word prefers,
right.
there's always a door that's
That's like we're here, yeah.
way wide open.
Mhm.
So I would concentrate on that a little bit.
Yeah.
And say, you know, if they didn't have some wiggle room on that, they wouldn't say first.
Right.
So I think you can get the money from that.
Sounds like you can get the money if you start the project.
Well, we'll clarify with Estrella on those
I
specifics.
mean, but if
yeah.
it's the way we're seeing it, is that's good news for you guys.
Mhm. Yeah, I would agree.
Could I see it again?
Yeah.
Look at that. Yeah, because that would be really difficult for people to come up with.
Yeah,
And that's not really how I've seen the grants work. before.
Yeah.
It's, they're usually pretty
Small
equal.
society or something.
Well, I mean, the last GoCo grant that we did with the mountain, down on mountain.
oh, yeah. Mhm.
You know, similar thing, they put it together, we
Yeah.
signed up on it. And a different program, but, GoCo was like, you know, we could submit, reimbursement anytime we had expenditures. I mean, we kind of held off until we had big pots instead of
Right.
going through the reports, you know, every month or something, but.
What was the timing? What was the timing on that, though? Was that before they restructured? Because the whole community impact grant is a new thing just in the last few years, so.
And the different programs have different.
Yeah.
It just seemed weird that they were a whole lot more flexible on that than something like this.
Right.
When you're talking big pots of money, yeah, that just. seems-
It's a challenge, I think, even for, you know, a local government like the county to be able to cash flow something. So, yeah.
So what do you,
I guess I'm not fully understanding what you guys are saying. I'm missing something.
So halfway through the project, you could say, please give us half of the grant funding halfway through the project.
They're
Yeah.
saying they'll reimburse up to 75%. It could be less than 75%.
Right, but they'll give a single time payment. So at that point, if we're halfway through the project, we ask for half the money, then we still have to come out up with the other half before we finish, because they won't give us anything until we're
Yes.
completely
Right.
done.
Yeah.
Correct,
But-
but it breaks down into.
Exactly. You have two smaller chunks that you're needing to cash flow at a time, rather than go 75%
Got it, okay.
and then
So
25%.
we could just, but we still need half essentially.
No,
You'd need the match for the half. The way that I'm reading it, you need the match, but what's the total amount?
So let's call it 600.
$600,000 and your 25% match. Is that what you're saying?
No, that is without the match, right?
well, I'm
Yeah,
Is this,
GoCo
saying
is not
25%.
requiring a specific match for that program anymore.
oh, you guys didn't have to come up.
No, they like to see that you have match money and that you have raised a significant amount.
But will they, how much will they give you, like, before you start, let's say it's a $600,000 project? How much money are they gonna give you to start the project?
none.
None.
Is how-
That's little,
If
yeah.
you break it into two,
Here's the difference, we can get, I mean, so it's $600,000, right? So when we hit halfway, we can get reimbursed for 300,000.
Gotcha.
Then we got that 300,000 back in the bank
Mhm.
to front the
Oh, I
second
see.
300,000.
Right.
And then we get reimbursed for that, and so.
Yeah.
It's
So it's
not
not
quite,
such an imposing.
but if you had to wait till you had 75%.
That'd be harder.
Then
Yeah.
it's a bigger plot,
$50,000.
we couldn't still do it, but if we can do it at 50/50.
Yeah, that would be a lot easier, I would imagine.
but we're still gonna need to talk about.
We still need to figure out how we can spend public dollars on.
Mhm.
Because this is the same thing that we did in our solution was we literally own. We went from assisting in the grant to actually owning the fire station. We had to in order to spend the public money on it. And to make sure, and then we did a lease back, but we can't really do that.
There isn't anything.
Yeah.
no.
No.
Yeah.
And they're not.
It's the BLM.
able to do it.
None of us are gonna own it. Yeah,
But I would also, again,
the taxpayers will own it, I guess.
I would also
Yeah.
be
It's
just
the BLMs.
really focusing on that word prefers.
Mhm.
Say,
And just say, hey, look, this is a great project and we might lose this project. If we can't get some money up front.
Yeah.
We need this money up front. just
We've
to-
been
just
pushing
get it
pretty
done.
hard and we'll continue to push hard. We're
Yeah.
persistent, but yeah.
Sounds like there might be some flexibility.
Yeah, I prefer to be 6 foot tall, but you know. it's like-
Mhm. Yeah, okay.
Maybe
Well, that's some great
Take care.
insight and
Yeah.
we'll definitely go back to GoCo and
Yeah, I think we need
Poke and
maybe a
prod
little
on
more
that a little bit.
clarification.
Mhm.
We'll figure out something. Yeah.
Great.
Dennis is creative. Yeah.
You and I will figure something out. But I think you should push back on them and say you need some of that.
We gotta start this project with somebody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So am I understanding right that you're saying that they would be able to give us half of it up front?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
less than 75% though.
Well,
But I was pointing out the fact that they said
Preferred,
GoCo prefers not to provide.
Oh, yeah,
upfront
yeah.
Money.
right,
That does not mean we never provide upfront money. If
Right.
it's a good project, then
And when we say upfront, we mean
Yeah.
paying for it when it's half done.
no.
no, he means money
Like, hey, can we get
immediately
$100,000 to get started?
to get started.
You know,
And they may be viewing it as, we have this 250,000 from Colorado Parks and Wildlife, so we have the money to get started already. Right,
Okay.
that'll get us through this season and part of next season, but
Right.
I don't know.
Okay, well, the way in that conversation that you were part of, Austin, to me, it sounded like they were saying essentially, we're gonna need to come up with all the money. And that was why they were so concerned about our ability to do
To
this.
cash flow it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They did say that, but that wording on their prefers and all those things. They did say, make sure that you scale your project to a level that you're gonna be able to cover.
Mhm.
Until reimbursement, but they didn't say specifically in that they wouldn't pay out the projects until the end or into a certain point either.
And this is the first official, like, in writing language I've seen about their policy, so.
They also, in that same breath, were saying that, GoCo. You can only leverage so much money in a community against GoCo dollars, so to make sure, that this was the project that we wanted to
Mhm.
fund and not some other project, because this might be. The only GoCo funding that we might be able to get for a period of 5 years.
Right.
Yeah, which we were like, yeah.
That's why we're all here trying to tell you this.
Exactly.
That's what-
Well, and we were
Yeah.
told, we asked specifically about that concern and said, okay, so we brought everybody to that table, and does GoCo feel comfortable now? What's the consensus as far as understanding the communities behind it? And she felt we had checked that box. So that was effective.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just gonna have to keep pushing on this.
Right,
Well,
so
and there's no chance for in kind?
From the county, they've already committed some.
we've already committed to the kind on the other grant.
Mhm.
The other thing too is that today, 3 of us spent all day in a room with a decent amount of grant writers in it. And so we now have some good resources. There's Region 9 now has a full-time
Tiffany
Grant reviewer.
Robertson, yeah,
Yeah.
you know Tiffany. Mhm.
Tiffany and Beth Warren was there, and she said, guys, I need some help, call me. And so I think if like maybe we could maybe reach out and see for those kinds of folks, if they have any input as far as, as far as, hey, what have you seen GoCo do before?
Right.
These kinds of things.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And maybe they can't float the full amount, but maybe Region 9 could throw something at it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it may end up being a patchwork. Right. So,
Takes a village.
yeah. Okay,
yeah, and our very own town administrator was on the panel for the grant writers as well, so.
Wow.
So she probably made even better networking connections than we did, so. But yeah, I think maybe kind of trying to reach around and see what other people's
Yeah.
experiences with this would be nice.
we can
And-
actually, like, we can look and see what other trail projects they funded recently through that program as well, and maybe reach out
yeah,
for more of an apples to apples comparison,
Yeah,
Well, is there there's money in the lodging tax enhancing tourist experience?
No, there's a possibility,
Yeah.
these two have thought about that already.
Mhm.
Oh.
I've already asked it if it was available and what the process will be.
I've been trying to.
And then
Thank you.
does the town have ability to jump in a little bit too or not?
They certainly do, and they have been supporters of this project and donated as well, so. If we need to. To ask them, though they're pretty deep in their bathroom project.
I'm sure.
It will be finished by the 9th of September.
Oh, it will. I'm more just talking about their coffers.
Right.
What those look like when the project's over,
Right,
to be able to help fund.
yeah,
The big investment.
matches and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So big investment.
We'll think,
yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
yeah, and we're not averse to asking the town as well. You know, maybe there's a combination joint effort, right, that gets it done, so. Okay,
Yeah, you know, you might, see, I mean, you might just check with GoCo and, see who else has done a similar project. And, you know, and then contact that
right,
town or county and see how.
see how it
how
worked
they
for
did it,
them.
If they just. If they came up with some sort of. Proposal or agreement to
Yeah.
make that work, or if they just.
Yeah, and it maybe not necessarily a pledge on the part of the town and the county, but maybe just an understanding that there was reimbursables coming out.
Mhm. Okay, well, we'll keep working on it, and,
We'll give it some time. Yeah.
great,
All right, thanks, you guys.
well, thank
Yeah,
you,
thank you.
and we hope to see you Saturday.
Hot dogs and beer, right?
What time is that start?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock Saturday.
That's good.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, you guys.
All right. We are a touch late here, but our next appointment here is with David Singer and Lauren. You're not mentioned on here, but Lauren, I assume you're here as well for this. So, for the engineering agreement for the hospital building heating system. So thank you guys for coming today. If you guys would like to come sit at the table, you're welcome to. If you want to sit right where you are, that's fine too.
Depends on how much you want to grill us. Yes.
We're saving the grilling for Saturday.
We're here to kind of answer any questions, but I think the main thing is that we met with and this is on the hospital building. Met with Keenan, and there are two kind of guys that are familiar with the furnace systems and everything.
So yeah, Terry from Keenan and then Sean Brill from Buckhorn Engineering. So we did get a proposal from them.
So part of the thing that we, to catch up to speed maybe, we just because nobody else in the area knew really what to tell us and everything, we needed to try to find where the leak was. We were not able to hold pressure in the system. And it's only at 2 or 3 pounds. Yeah, and we couldn't even hold that pressure. So it had developed, I don't know, in the last 3 or 4 years or something like that, where there all of a sudden wasn't enough any pressure in the system. And what would happen is there's a double feedback. So you have a thermostat and you have a pressure regulator. And if you don't get the pressure, it shuts off, you know.
And we know the controls are good because we replaced the controls as part of the revamping, if you will, of the existing boiler.
The nice thing about the old stuff, I mean, it's pretty mechanical, you know, mercury switches. I mean, they're great. I mean, I much prefer that than digital, so you can't take anything apart, you know, pick it or anything.
Replace the whole thing.
But the mercury switches, I mean, you can
Right
test them right away. I mean, there's no problem with it. They're very simple. They either make the contact or they don't, and you either get, you know, a response or it's bad. But they very seldom go bad. They're really good. So anyway, we tried tracing, you know. Anybody see any steam coming out of the radiators or anything like that? So. No one could see anything, so, Colin and I did a smell test. It's using the same sort of amyl acetate banana smell that you use when you test face masks, anything like that. We introduced that into the system and actually found some leaks. And some of them were big. I mean, the pipes are really old. And so even after doing that, we couldn't smell anything anymore. I still couldn't get pressure. I mean, we got a little bit, but not enough to keep the needle up.
So there's two areas that are suspect. And one of the areas is in, I don't even want to call it a crawl space.
There isn't.
It's a belly space. And, you know, tearing up the floor to gain access to that isn't the huge issue. The huge issue is that those pipes are wrapped in asbestos. And so that's a can of worms we don't want to go down. We're worried about that. The other place, and so there's a feed line and a return line that go in that crawl space. And Lauren went as far as she could in crawling in there.
Yikes.
And it could be partially buried. And so we're thinking that, you know, this is jumping ahead a little bit, that the solution might be to abandon that system. And we'll talk about the system that's
That would
being
solve
proposed.
That would solve the asbestos problem. You could just.
Right, just
abandon
leave
that
it in place.
and not touch
It's
it.
undisturbed.
Yep.
The other potential area is in the boiler itself. And so maybe you can
If
talk
it's
about
going
that.
up the boiler. It could be a leak. And it's directly bending it straight up the stack. You know, so that's why we can't smell it. And so they had suggested they have a smoke test sort of thing that they can do. The thing is that, as Dave was alluding to, they put the pipes down and built the floor on top of it. I mean, there is no crawl space. You know, they're just doing, I mean, it's just, so even
Very
if you
limited.
get the smoke test,
If it's
where's
under
it gonna
the-
be?
under the
I mean, you
floor,
can't even check it. You can kind of snake maybe a scope in there, but. You know. Anyway, so it could be expensive. I mean, just to try to troubleshoot it with a smoke test or something. It could be easy. I mean, maybe we find out right away. It's going up the stack, in which case. You got a bad.
Right.
More than just a leaky flue.
Yeah. it's
More than a
like,
leaky flue, you're talking
Can't
about
go over
a
any.
ground sheet or something else, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the idea really is, okay, we need to buy some time. Right, in order to come up with a system that's new. We need to kind of limp the old system along, and that's what Lauren's been successful in doing by eliminating that pressure control. And just using the thermostatic control and having Colin be very aware that this is an issue we need to keep monitoring in order for it to be safe. And also to provide heat for the building.
We operated the hospital this past year without any pressure, or without any pressure registering. Now,
Wow.
I'm not supposed to do that.
Right, it's. I don't
The
want to say,
boiler inspector might have something to say about it. We don't have any choice. So what we have a direct, the feed is through the thermostat. You control it through the thermostat. And, you know, the thing is that the mercury switch would still register. If it got way up there, and we have had occasions where I think when it was running a lot, you got some pressure in it, which led us to believe that maybe it's in the condensate line. So it's not coming out the steam, but you know, when it condenses and it's going down back to the furnace and everything, there's a leak there. And that's why, and it's all under the floor.
right, so it needs to be a closed.
If it's on the return line, that's why we're getting the pressure. But when you fill it up enough that it's water, then the condensate is water, and might be enough to plug that hole, you know, to scoop that by it. That's the theory anyway. But we can't tell. I mean, there's no way to pressurize the system and find out where the leak is. That's the problem. There's no isolation valves or anything else like that.
It's
So,
all one system. You can't-
yeah. So the thing is that why we had Keeney come up here, and that's one of things that Dave is spearheading and researching is, okay, what are our options for that? We need to buy some time. I think we need at least another year to operate that furnace with coal. At least, and it worked. All last year, the pressure didn't get up. It stayed where, it never even registered up there.
I heard a lot of complaints about it being cold though. Like the building being cold, I definitely heard complaints from the health department for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I fielded a few of those.
I'm sorry. And part of that is just like with the courthouse here, you have to dial it in. I mean, people are opening it up when they're a little cool, and then they open theirs up and it sucks all of the steam into one room. They get hot and they shut it off. And then the other places are not receiving any, because you're shutting off the furnace, basically. I mean, you're up the temperature, everyone's turned it up. You get the second floor where the clinic is, or basically the first floor, they get up temperature, it shuts off. And so the people that are complaining are the ones that are on the farthest region.
So we don't have a zone, right? We've got one thermostat that's on the level,
For the
the
whole
main
thing.
level.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Huh.
So the plan is to limp it along. The plan is to lower our carbon footprint and move away from coal. We've also been thinking about, okay, could we modify the existing boiler if we could find the leak to run it on propane and ship to propane? And that's not really an option because just what we talked about, we can't get pressure. And so we are going to do some testing to see if we can limp it along better for the year that we need. And we had Buckhorn Engineering come down and we talked with them about some alternative systems. And I think after much deliberation between the four of us, we're thinking about a water system instead of a steam system. That way we don't have to go into the crawl space. We can get those water feed lines running to all the rooms that we need to. We can't use the existing radiators because of the way that it's a 2-pipe system that we would need, and we have a 1-pipe system. Well,
if you just
we can
take a look
explain
at
that a
the-
little bit better.
If you just take a look at the radiator, if you put liquid in it, like if it's hydronic,
On the bottom,
there's no way to get it up into the fins.
right? We're gonna push air up
Yeah.
and trap air.
You're talking all new plumbing and
Right, so we're talking about a water system with new plumbing. We're talking about new radiators. We're talking about an electric boiler with a backup electric boiler, so two boilers. Okay, and this was really an ingenious idea. You know what it's like when you walk into that coal-fired boiler room? You go down those steps. It's a very tall space. Okay. The engineer said, hey, why don't we just build a steel deck? So when you walk into that space, you're in a new mechanical room.
level.
You can leave the boiler in place. And we don't even need to demo that boiler. That is jacketed
Level.
in asbestos, right?
Yeah.
And so,
I get it.
so where we're at right now is that we have a proposal that's 2-phase. The first phase is to develop some costs and some line items that we can use to start beating the bushes and seeking out funding. Okay, and that's relatively inexpensive, about $2,500 for that first phase. And part of that phase would be for Keenan's to price some of the equipment, for Lauren to price putting in that floor, and for the engineer to contact San Miguel Power and price bringing the 3-phase that is on Quality Hill or
We have 3
Do they,
phase.
does this boiler require 3-phase or is it cheaper with 3-phase?
It's cheaper.
That's what I wonder.
yeah.
Yeah.
How far away is the nearest 3-phase?
It's just
It's
right,
not, it's not that far.
right there in the alley.
Yeah.
They tap right on.
Yeah.
And then price the equipment. Like Keenan was gonna do that. So that's about a $2,500 proposal. And then Willie, you're gonna have to remind me, I tried to look it up. Was it 20, maybe I do have it here. So it's, no, it's not that bad. Well, you have it? So 14,
Just as kind of sort of an aside, when we looked at the propane too. It was gonna require another building, just like we had.
Right, right. No,
And it's
Right.
just kind of.
no, yeah.
So we'd avoid
that
that.
might be the idea of an electric boiler.
Yeah.
With three phase,
Yeah.
because then it's not, because we already know what the propane bills are here.
any efficiency that they generate where they're
Right.
making the electricity, we immediately get. Any way that they lower their carbon footprint, we immediately get to take advantage of that.
Are there systems, isn't there systems out there where they first, it does make sense to me because your water is coming to the building, running through the ground, but don't they do some systems where they run the water through the ground, it heats it up to like,
They tried that at the school.
Geothermal, what you're talking
yeah,
about.
like a soil.
Geothermal, they did try it at school.
And it didn't work.
Cortez has it, it was a big project, that was the deep, it's a deep geothermal over at Cortez.
Huh. No, this is just one where you.
Yeah.
You run the water just
Yeah,
close to surface.
Yeah,
through a series
the
of
temperature
pipes.
differential was too much to overcome
Right.
when they tried it over at the school. I mean, it just like you couldn't, you didn't, for all the effort you went through.
You didn't gain
You didn't get
anything.
enough gain to really effectively.
The only one that's successful around
What's their
here,
hole, do you know?
and
I'm sorry.
it's their
Yeah,
name,
their drilled hole was.
is out at the Eureka Lodge.
Yeah, I know.
They have a successful,
Oh, they're using their mine water.
And they're using their mine
Which
water.
is that.
I guess you, all of a sudden you can reach 50 or 60 degrees with that, and
Yeah.
now you're only heating that much.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, but they tried it at school and it wasn't even close.
Oh, but the mine water is warm enough.
Correct. In that area,
I'll be darned.
in that area.
Huh.
Yeah. And it depends on the temperature of the water coming in. Also, you know, with gradient, you're trying to overcome.
Huh.
And it makes a lot of sense if you're taking it from next to 32 degrees, you know,
Right,
but
Huh, okay, I thought it just asked.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they tried that, a test at the
Yeah.
school.
If we were in Uray,
Yeah.
sorry.
So the engineer gave us two phase proposals. The first one is to just kind of let him loose to start the design process to generate costs along with the two contractors, Lauren and the plumber, for $2,500. And then once that's done, and Willie and I can start looking around for where those funds can come from, we can put together an application using that information, those proposals, to do a full-blown design of what it's going to take to design this thing. So the $2,500 is not to design it. It's $14,500. He has to design and oversee the construction of it, the engineer. So that would be worked into the grant as well, is what I'm thinking. The design portion, as well as, you know, the cost of construction. So at this point, I can't tell you how much that system's gonna cost, but we have a proposal to get us there.
Where would the potential grant money come from, like DOLA or something like that, or?
Joe, I'm hoping there's something in.
IGA. Well, we just went to today.
Yeah, I spent an
There's
hour
some-
listening to this guy from the state.
There's some other monies out there.
There's
Yeah.
Yeah.
a ton of money out there right now for anything that is energy efficient.
Yeah.
And it's health.
There
I
is
think
some.
Becky probably has, you know, some ideas on
I
where to
always
go to.
wondered if we could have leveraged COVID money as part of a. You know, saying, you know, this is an essential, you know, keeping this clinic and having it for COVID, you know, I always had wondered if we could have. Leveraged the COVID money to be easier.
That's what it could have, should have.
I think you're right.
Yeah, that was what it could have, should have.
Darn, okay.
COVID's over.
I
Yeah,
think where the potential money is reducing. Carbon footprint.
Yeah.
Make it green.
Over a long period of time too.
There, like infrastructure money or something like that out there.
Yeah, from the.
And
from
the
what
thing
we,
is the-
Talked to today, 30% just to start with, and up to 60% reimbursement, just directly like tax credits, but the federal government, if you're a nonprofit, will just write you a check. And then that's not even including all the grant programs that are going out, especially for public buildings.
Huh.
right now too.
It's kind of
Oh,
lucky
that's
we
great.
went to that.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous about how we're going this way.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
As soon as I get the slides from this guy, I'll send them to you guys so you can read through them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Might be something for you to go after.
So we're just trying to fish right now
Willie
for-
Glover.
and try to find out the efficiencies of some of these things, but you know, they have all sorts of new hydronic type of captures and radiators that, you know, they're console units. I mean, they're flat. I mean, they'll go on the wall and they look like
Right.
So
Just
your
a flat
piping would be on the wall, it would probably be on the walls or the quarters between the floor and wall or something.
I
like that.
suspect.
We don't have to tear stuff out, put it in,
Not that much.
Yeah, I think it's, you know.
Can you almost follow the old piping? No, you can't be in the old pipe, I'm just saying. You're
No,
gonna
we
need,
actually talked about that.
you're gonna need PEX for copper, right?
Yeah, the problem is we have this double masonry wall that goes all the
Oh,
way up
yeah,
the
yeah,
building.
yeah.
I mean,
So you almost-
just on either side of the hallway, and that includes underneath. So some of that piping was put in. We just
While the
have to
building
figure
was
out,
being built, yeah.
yeah, we have to figure out how we can get it up through the floors,
All right.
you know, and actually, we can come in through the attic
Yeah,
and use that
through the attic.
chaseway that was, you know, where the elevator was supposed to have gone, the old hoist.
Let me ask you, well, we won't know till he finds
Yeah.
out whether we're using copper, PEX or some other kind of,
He said PEX is perfectly fine.
that's awesome, because
And
copper
then-
would be unbelievable, astronomical.
But we talked
Yeah,
about
that's a
using
copper,
copper in the exposed spaces that are
That's
like
the aesthetics.
the primary spaces, the public spaces.
So you.
Because we
can
have
see
so
some
much
vertical
invested in
lines.
kind of getting the character back to the inside of the building.
Right.
We could spray paint the PEX copper.
You could do that.
Exactly.
I did that with my trailer.
When you see the cost of copper, you're gonna want it.
But I think, that, you know, as I say, it's just, it would be the aesthetics if we use.
Yeah,
copper.
absolutely.
Yeah. Right.
And we're talking about leaving those existing radiators, which are character defining elements inside the building. Talking about leaving those in place,
I think
just leaving
that's
all
right.
that
I think
system. in
that's a good
place.
idea, because they are historic, so why not?
Yeah.
So I had two concerns on the contract, if you want. First of all, the proposal doesn't say anything about the construction phase. It has the phase one, and then it has the design phase, but then it doesn't talk about any kind of construction phase or oversight or supervision phase. Just saying, signing the contract, and maybe that needs to be clarified if that's gonna happen.
So he's got construction administration, including shop drawings, submittal review, 2 trips during construction, 1 at rough-in and 1 at substantial completion.
Is that enough?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, I was looking at the design proposals, 2 phases. Phase 2 design scope and design schedule are contingent upon. So, yeah, he's got it broken down below.
Right, it's
a little bit
below.
better. And then the second one is, Willie's heard me say this a million times, the indemnification provision, and, yeah, I can't live with that. Client shall indemnify to the fullest extent of law, BC, its employees and subconsultants, and that's in the, standard terms and conditions. I would hope that they would let us just X that paragraph out.
Can you send me like an email that I can kind of forward that says, this is from the county lawyer? That I can forward on to Sean Brill.
Sure.
He asked us to get back to him with comments on it. That's perfectly, I think, within our, that's what he asked for.
I can, you know what, I'll just forward it to Willie, and then Willie can forward it to you.
Great.
And, yeah, I'll do that right now while we're sitting here. And then I do have to add something, so limping the system along. It sounds to me like a lack of pressure in a boiler system is way better than too much pressure. in a boiler
Right.
system.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we're pretty comfortable, just so my board's comfortable that it's not a dangerous situation to limp it along, correct, for the record?
Right, I mean,
Yeah,
as I say, the pressure gauges do work.
yeah,
So if it ever got up there, And that's why Colin said on occasion, he'll get 3 or 4 pounds of pressure when it's really cranking. That's why I think the condensate line is filling up. And, you know, it's not steam, and so it kind of plugs that hole or leaks out.
So it would still turn off under high pressure.
Right, if we got any pressure
Gotcha.
above 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're still in a safe operating situation.
yeah.
Right, it might not be as efficient as we want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And we don't want that boiler landing on top of Salt Mountain or
No.
something.
If I could add something, and this is kind of thing, my thing all the time is that, along with this proposal or whatever estimate there is, be thinking about the ongoing maintenance, because we just don't ever address that, you know, how to take care of the systems. And it's great when you put them in and then nobody knows how to work them. And then we don't have anybody designated or a protocol for, you know, maintenance, regular, and that's what happened to the
Right,
boiler.
that's a good
out there.
example, this
I
boiler.
mean, it because
Oh, this thing out here, yeah, it rusted up when there was no maintenance.
that's right, and it rusted through. And you know, you just like, something got lost in the translation. And then if you try to look for manuals or anything like that, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, nobody
The
knows.
bottom
what
line
it
is this could be like electrical circuit board and everything else. You're gonna need some kind of a maintenance
And for somebody,
Program and a manual.
someone who's tending it or even looking at it, that there's a protocol that they can go
that can
through.
test something.
Steps to, you know,
Correct.
without, you know,
Oh, yeah.
turning off something they're not supposed to, or letting it run out of water. But
Right.
I think it's really important that we don't ever budget for that. And it has to be something that needs to be addressed before you put the systems in, just to make sure that the maintenance thing, I mean, it's gonna cost you just as much as the doggone boiler. You know, I mean,
I'm gonna throw one more thing at it, because if they do say electrical, are we gonna need yet a different kind of generator UPS system
backup.
backup?
Yeah.
We are, I mean,
You're gonna need. a lot
as part of this
backup.
system, that's, I mean, Buckhorn is gonna be researching that, correct?
I guess so. I mean, this isn't my bailiwick, I'm, you
Well,
know,
anything that's
figuring it
electrical,
out
if
too.
you have a power,
But I
outage,
agree.
you have anything else,
Yeah,
I've got Jenny,
working on that.
working on, generator and.
UPS.
Switch and everything, we just
Wanna
need
make
to
that
figure out what the demand of if we go to electric. system.
And then he can spec one out, and-
So
okay,
he can add that to.
okay, good,
okay,
yeah, good.
Yeah, the generator that is out there right now by the hospital will only really
Yeah,
run a little refrigerator, some lights. I mean, it's,
And that was all.
Very experimental.
and that's what it was set up to be.
Right.
You're talking a pretty.
right, with this system, you're gonna want, again, and then you can do it, automatic transfer switch, UPS, and automatic testing on the generator.
Yeah, and it's gonna be important for the clinic going forward that you have a reliable service
Absolutely.
for the clinic. So, and that will help trigger funds for the clinic too, if you can show that you have all the safety systems
Yeah.
and the backup system. So just, that's my thing. I think there's more than just putting the system in that we should be concerned about ongoing. It's getting harder and harder to find anybody to service any of this stuff.
Right.
And if at least you have the manuals, and you know where they are,
Well,
you know,
And-
that would be really helpful.
and the installer actually gives the tutelage on maintenance,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Got
just
to,
real
because that's
essential
never been
stuff.
done in the past, people die off, next thing you know, nobody knows how to.
Yeah.
Take care of it,
I mean, down in the cold room, I mean, there's some basic steps you take.
Yeah.
To get it running and to check, you know, and that's what that's what you need. You need, you know, just a checklist to go through, a troubleshooting.
Yeah.
Checklist available for whoever is going to be maintaining the system or even looking at it once a month, or if you have to hire a service to come up and check, you know, like they do regular heating, air conditioning systems, they check once a year, or that's the service part of your
Right.
role. I think you need to have that.
And then probably what we're gonna, I mean, if we update this system to something that's electric and computerized and everything else, I mean, we're probably gonna have to bring in somebody on a regular basis.
Yeah. I just think.
But the other nice thing about the computerized thing is, it's like having equipment now, they can do it remotely.
They can troubleshoot.
They can do it
Sure.
remotely, which is really cool.
It's
If
just-
you have broadband, they can
Yeah.
check it.
Well, we have an elevator over there. And they're supposed to be able to check it out that way.
Understood.
And the technicians don't come.
I'm just saying,
down.
the technology's come a long way.
Yeah. So,
Bless you.
The complication and the service of these boiler systems is. No matter how you shake it, it's problematic. They don't work and function flawlessly. They need required maintenance, and they're more complicated to troubleshoot and need specialized personnel to do it.
What we did also for the courthouse here is in this boiler that was replaced. We spent the extra money and bought, a cast iron boiler with a really good warranty. That, I think when we get this proposal, we're gonna look at the equipment and ask, Buckhorn, like, is this the best, least maintenance, units that we can buy? I think
So they did that at the Wyman and it didn't work. You worked on that a little bit, didn't you?
no.
I remember Mark McFadden did, and it was brand new boiler and they had to send it all back because it cracked and it wasn't their fault. And it got warranted, but then the building was out of service for the time that it took to get a new boiler freight shipped in and installed, and that's.
Yeah, that's all part of your service contract when you buy it and everything else, though.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at doing a complicated system like this, I think we should really examine a way that we can make it redundant too. There's these electric coke heaters are really cheap and effective to install, and if you have solar to power them, then they're pretty effective and pretty low maintenance to use. And even as a redundant system, it might be worth doing both.
Well, Brill addressed that a little bit, in that he said we need to put 2 boilers in there.
Yeah.
So
One
they
to
share,
back up,
they
yeah.
share the duty. Actually, they're gonna both be working, but they share the duty.
Right.
And then one can back up the other if one goes down.
They had a similar system down at the DoubleTree in Durango. With 2 of them that were supposed to share the duty, and one went down within 6 months of it.
The other one.
Going. The other one couldn't handle the load. Because it was, even though it was meant to operate independently, the systems were too tied together. Part of that, I think, was an installation failure and that too. But man, these systems just get so complicated so quickly.
We just had the exact same thing happen in a building we put up in Dolores County. Double boilers, it was supposed to provide redundancy, and they found out later that one of them hadn't been working the entire time, and it overloaded the first one, and
Oh, geez.
yeah.
I just, especially if we're able to use like easy low hanging grant money or credits to get back for this stuff. Did you guys discuss other systems, mini splits or heat pumps, any of that stuff too, or?
Well, we were basically going by the recommendation, which was, if you go to a propane system or electric system, the drawbacks are, just what you have to actually install for that. So, heat pumps and everything I don't know if they work that well up here, because we don't really, do they work?
Yeah, they work.
Yeah.
The new ones work good. The older ones did not work well, but the newer ones are much better.
So we were told, and as I say, long time ago, that since Silverton really doesn't need the air conditioning, that you're better getting the furnace rather than having a heat pump, which is going both ways. It's more efficient to get just a heating unit.
Yeah.
As opposed to having one that will go both ways. And so that, I don't know what the current technology is, but that's what a lot of these furnace people said, get a heating system, so you're not gonna open the window, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But heat pumps were great places where you have to have air conditioning plus you have to have heating.
Yeah,
And they work in, just going the opposite direction, but.
they're not incredibly efficient for heat.
Hmm,
They're more efficient for cooling than they are for heat.
okay.
Too. But if,
I think one of the concerns, and maybe they've overcome that, but, using the heat pump. I think they are working real well in single family dwellings, even in cold weather climates. I mean, I think people are really jumping all over them. But for a larger building, it's still kind of, I'm not sure they've really accomplished, and I think where they have, and this is just a little bit I've looked at it, is they use forced air. And
Oh, yeah, that's
Then
right.
that-
We did talk about that. a little
that
bit.
becomes a bigger issue for the hospital building, because we have to install all the.
Giant
All the
ducting,
big- all the-
you know,
Well, we did have
you
that
don't do ducting.
conversation on site. That was the big issue,
Works better for a new building.
right? And so we've got all these clean plaster walls, and so that would be an invasive system to install visually and materially.
I mean, you said you have a crawl space in the attic, right? That
We do have an
run
attic space.
piping and stuff. So we installed 4 last year for 80% grant money. So 20% match. And it is insulated double copper tube. And that's it. And there needs to be a condensate drain too, if you're planning on using them for cooling.
So it's
Some of
not,
them do have an ability to have a pump that pumps the condensate back up, so you can pump it back. And
so it's not forced air, it is forced air?
not forced air.
Did you use it at the restaurant or? the house?
Yeah, we have 2 in the dining area, 1 in the kitchen, and 1 in the brewery.
Okay.
And then they have them now too, so that, you don't have to put so many units outside and impact the visual.
Yeah.
You could put them in the alley side with a bigger unit on the alley side. And then run, I don't know how many you can get per one, but I know you can get like 3 or 4 per individual unit. We just ended up doing 2 because of where they were located and how to get all the piping outside. And it works pretty
And
good.
what's the name of that system? Is it split
mini-
station
Yeah.
with Charles
Yeah.
Rill?
When you're studying it, why
Yeah,
not?
they can be a little problematic, but I think it mostly is in the installation. You just have to make sure that people solder the copper lines well enough and make sure that they're not. Well, I think a lot of home installers, home people installing.
And that's a problem, is that, heat pumps are becoming so popular. One, they don't have the, people to install them, and 2, they don't, just getting the units built, has been difficult. But there was an article I just read in Maine. They offered an incentive to everybody to install a heat pump, and the traditional, electric and oil, and everybody came out and said, oh, these won't work in our climate, it's too cold up here, you're gonna be sorry. And people put them in, and they work wonderful, and everybody has said, everybody that's installed one has basically said, we wouldn't use anything but a heat pump.
Mhm.
And, yeah, 20 below, it used to be, the older ones, it's like, if you were getting close to 0, you were toast, but now these operate at 20 below and still be efficient one.
Yeah, we haven't had any problems with ours, and
That's interesting to know that you've got a system that actually needs a large space.
I know a few other people installed them too, but I can't remember who exactly right now did it last year. And we got a couple different quotes from a couple different people, and I would say the only thing is that we were told that the units we were getting by the supplier would have the little condensate pumps on them so that they could, pump back up, and so that we wouldn't have to have the little condensate drains coming down the wall, and they did not. So, but we weren't able to get anything else in a reasonable time period to finish the grant and deal with that. So so now we have a couple unsightly plastic tubes, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I just, man, these boiler systems are so complicated. I think it would be nice to examine a couple different options, and especially if you compare them with solar to offset the efficiency of them. I don't know, have you guys ever discussed doing solar on that building? I feel like it
On the roof?
yeah, on the roof of the miners hospital building there.
There's a little ice, there's a little ice pump right now.
We are constrained a little because it's a storage structure, and
Yeah,
grant money on it. And they do have,
A
the
covenant.
exterior, there are. There are easements and, the restrictions on what you can apply to the exterior side. So that's why we have to be kind of careful, and to some extent on the interior.
Yeah.
But what you're describing sounds pretty low key. It's worth definitely, I'm not familiar with the system, but I'm all in for seeing what they have out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we get the state historic grants for these buildings, we basically have to sign I can't remember what the document was that we actually signed, but essentially we give the state the control over the visual impact, so we can't. We can't. It would be unlikely that they would approve solar panels unless we could hide them somewhere on the hospital building.
But we own the lots. Or
Next to them.
Next door.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, it's to the north of the building.
yeah, in the shade.
That'd be a full-time plow job.
What's that?
I said, that'd be a full-time plow job on the
Oh,
north side.
gosh, yeah.
That stacks up pretty good in there.
But I'm definitely gonna ask about the mini splits. I'm curious myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting system.
They've been good for us so far.
Oh, that's great.
The guys in the kitchen used to complain about it being really cold in the kitchen in the summer and really hot in summer, and it works better than our previous heating and cooling systems.
That's
So-
great. I mean, boy,
I'm tired of the pellet stove in my house. Maybe that's an option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really curious and interested in that system and
Yeah.
to see what it is.
Why not?
Well, it's not a very long tour if you ever want to check them out at the Avalanche. It's pretty
Okay,
easy.
yeah.
They're just crawling up on the roof and looking at the unit on the roof and looking at the unit coming down, and
Yeah, I just kind of to see how the distribution of that, of heat and cold. Do you have a cooling system too?
they're both, so each
So
of the
kind of
four
curious.
units is both.
Yeah, I'd love to see how that,
Yeah,
what fixture actually. looks
Yeah,
like.
I want to see that as well.
yeah,
Yeah. We have to do a film system.
yeah,
But anyway, so that's kind of where we're at with that. We're just trying to, nurse that system along and until we can gain some traction on which direction to go, but just to kind of get you guys caught up to
No, thank you.
what we're doing anyway.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing. We're just putting band-aids on it, basically it. So.
Do you guys have a quick, how many rooms are there in the building?
Oh, I have a spreadsheet that'll tell you exactly what that is, but I'm gonna say there's about 8 on each floor, 7 to 8 on each floor.
And then the basement has one big conference room and then 3 off.
A lot of square footage,
Yeah, it's
4,000, so
it's different to do.
Yeah, a little more than that.
more than 4,000.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it's maybe.
Oh, that's out of the
70.
basement too. Probably closer to 5.
It's close to 5.
Yeah.
And the basement's where we have the problem. I mean, that's. It's just always cold there. We don't have enough radiators down there in the basement either.
Anthony doesn't need heating in his office, right?
Well, he's on the 3rd.
I know. So he doesn't need it.
Yeah, he's comfortable. As long as he's comfortable, everybody's comfortable, right?
All things on that one. Anyway, that's just.
Okay, no, thanks for that.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right, gentlemen.
All right.
okay.
Do we need to do anything?
Were you gonna vote on doing that contract? Were you thinking you were gonna get a vote on doing that contract? Or were you not ready for it yet?
You had a couple of things you wanted to add or delete.
But it can be subject to that.
Yeah, no, I think we could move to approve it conditional upon their change, or we could just wait until next meeting.
Your call, I just didn't want.
Dave, do you see any problems with us waiting for 2 more weeks?
I don't think so. No, and I think that Brill's gonna be open to our request.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Go home and get some supper.
All right. Moving onwards here, let's. Move on to our correspondence, the Benita Peak Mining District update.
Yeah, Excellent contract. Is that it? What's this one?
That area agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, if we get, that'll be the next thing down.
I got you,
We go
okay.
down and we visit.
Okay.
Do you wanna wait? We can do correspondence after we do new
It
business.
doesn't matter, we can, I mean,
Let's blast through the new business and then do the correspondence. Does that sound all right? Okay.
so, the contract is from Area Agency on Aging, is for the snow shoveling contract. We've been awarded almost $10,968. We had actually requested 25,000. We spent probably about 18,000 last year, heavier year than normal.
Yeah.
But you know, that doesn't mean that it won't be heavy again this year. But this was as good as we could get from them currently.
So did the county just have to come up with the other 7,000 then last year?
Actually, we didn't, there was a one-time grant that Martha Johnson was able to find for us through social services.
Okay.
I've also, at that time when, I mean, we were out of money early February last year. And so looking for funding, Kim White thought that she had potentially some foundation money that we could tap into if we needed to. And then Martha came up with this other stuff, so she didn't have to explore it further. But yeah, potentially if anything over 11,000, you know, we either shut down the program or if we can't find money, it comes out of our pocket.
I know this is the county responsibility, but could the town help us out? Is the shoveling's all happening in town?
We can certainly ask them, you know, the town is actually kind of come to the table as far as the seniors with the providing the
Center over there,
the
yeah.
center and stuff.
And the maintenance of it and all
Yeah,
that.
which I think is
Okay,
a good thing, and if we can stay away from that.
That's a good idea. Okay, all right.
I mean, you know, I you know, going back to our last meeting with Steve Hamilton, and you know, and he's not the only person that's expressed that, you know, the county's gonna end up with a windfall and we need to lower mill levies and stuff. It's like a year ago. I mean, last year, if Martha hadn't come up with that money, I'm not sure where it would come from.
It's been that tight, yeah.
I mean, we were that tight. I mean, I think we're gonna be in pretty good shape. I mean, because of some of the federal dollars we got and with, you know, or increased assessed value, even if we do lower it some, you know, I'm not as worried about getting some of these things a year ago. I mean, we would have said it at 10,000, you know, when we hit $10,000, program shuts down because we don't have any more money.
I don't wanna look at that extra money as a windfall. I wanna look at that extra money as finally being able to finance our increasing. costs.
Well, I mean, yeah,
That's the big.
you know, yeah, I mean, it's a windfall, but it's not when you look the previous several years where we couldn't do anything because we didn't have any funding. So
Right.
this just allows us to get up to where we were,
A little more
you know, in
stuff.
2007.
Yep. You need a motion on this? Bill?
Yeah.
Any more? Sorry, Dawson.
Oh, you're fine.
Um,
Let's do the motion and then we can talk about it.
okay, make a motion that we enter a contract with the, is it San Juan Basin or the state?
It's the area agency.
Okay, that we enter into a contract with San Juan Basin Area Agency on Aging Incorporated in the amount of $10,968. Is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay,
I'll second
All in favor?
I,
Just think in general, you know, having a little bit extra, like programming and things to help take care of our seniors as they get older would be a good topic to explore. I think that, you know, Chrissy definitely has told me that there's a pretty good need just for small things, you know, a lot of seniors. And this doesn't necessarily even have to be a funded thing, but you know, a lot of seniors they call Chrissy because they don't know who else to call when they go outside and their car battery is dead and she can't leave her office to go jump these cars and you know, they can't exactly ask the sheriff's deputies to go and do all to do all those calls, or at least they haven't been responsive. So I think it'd just be kind of nice to, you know, have a talk maybe and sit down and brainstorm some ways that we could help our seniors as they get a little bit older and a little.
Well, and when you look at, I mean, just going back to the snow shoveling fund, there, for all the money we spent, if you look at the people that are qualified that aren't on it yet, that still shovel their own snow, I mean, it can, yeah, no, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of people, which is.
yeah, the opposite,
I want the size of your shovel, though. You have some big shovels.
yellow,
Yeah.
yellow is the color I use.
Along that same vein, I also received a email from Christina Knoll of Area Agency on it.
I saw that,
I put it in your package.
yeah,
For
Carrie,
basically their shortfall of $3,700 for Carrie to keep her in her role. And you know, I think she's been doing a pretty good job, and I think she can take off some of that. The more the seniors get comfortable with her, the more she can take some of that stuff off of Chrissy.
play,
Yeah.
You know, that she'll be the person to call the car, and she does that. I mean,
yeah,
I think it might be worth talking to some other folks too. The VA, I'm sure has some services for this, and I'm sure we have some seniors that qualify for care, for, you know, making
For
sure
any of
that
our veterans.
for any of our veterans and things like that.
Quite a
I
few.
think we could maybe come up with some, you know,
and we do get a
Minimum
little
care.
money from the veterans.
yeah,
It's about $7,000. It's not earmarked for anything, and we pay Tommy's salary out of it, but that's
yeah,
$400 a month.
yeah,
So we do have some revenue there to help out some of
yeah.
those things as well.
Yeah, I think it might be worth us looking at budget season allocating some of that money towards
No, I
Carrie's salary or whatever we can.
You
You
know,
know. We pay Tom $400 a month.
What's
Could
that?
we,
Is it $400 a month?
Yeah.
Oh man, he gets paid better than a town board member does, huh?
everybody goes.
He's been doing it forever for like $70 a month.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, it came in and asked if we could put it to 400, just so it would look better when he retired, like somebody else to take over.
here's a question, you know, the tourism fund money, that was pretty gray about what it could be spent on. Can we spend it on something like that?
No.
Just throwing it out there.
Has to be advertising and,
Well,
Well, no,
no,
there-
there's another.
It's tourist enhancement.
Enhance
Oh,
the visitor
okay.
Well, we could,
experience.
if we,
I got
if we shoveled the senior sidewalks, that would enhance the tourist experience, because then they could walk the sidewalks.
Yeah, except for.
that might be a reach.
If we were showing the sidewalks on Green in the business district.
Yeah, that's
you can
true.
make that
Yeah,
argument.
I see
If
what
you-
you're saying.
If you
In the BP, that's-
shovel, you know, my private driveway, or sidewalk, you can't make the argument that you're doing
I
that.
heard tourists
Next to
were
the
coming,
library.
I heard tourists were coming to see your house.
Yeah.
They want to see what you really did.
Just walk right in.
Yeah. If they get their company looking.
We heard that it was an award-winning administrator. We want to see.
There you go, there you go. Did you want to address this Cherry
Yeah,
Metro thing?
I mean, do you guys wanna, I mean, I think we can afford it, for $3,700 to. get carried through.
That's.
I think he deserves it.
That's the support you're talking about for seniors right there.
Yeah.
Is that right there?
Yeah,
That's
for
the
sure.
easiest thing we can.
I don't have a
I
problem.
don't have a problem with that, really.
We could probably take it out of the money we get from the VA if that fund balance is healthy enough for this year, and then we can discuss.
That's a good idea. Okay. I make a motion, that we cover the $3,700 shortfall, for Carrie Metzler's position.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on, assessor's report.
So even though she received protests on 280 counts, that doesn't mean they're all coming to the Board of Equalization, didn't you say? Let's hope not. Oh, my God.
Got
No.
a lot of meetings.
No, I
Usually it's just a handful.
yeah. We have 3 so far.
So our total assessed value has jumped from, wasn't it like at 43 or? Like
Yeah.
that, it's jumped to 75,000, 75.
Yep.
Wow, that's huge.
A lot of it, I think, vacant land and mining claims. Big jump in sales.
Actually, commercial properties did a huge, big jump,
Yeah,
because now she has comparable sales, which caused all of ours to jump up then.
yeah.
That's right.
And a lot of comparable sales, both houses and commercial, so. This was just, it's.
Yeah, permission. All right, any other comments on that, or? Let's go and move on to the treasurer's report.
And, yeah, you actually have the treasurer's monthly report and the treasurer's semi-annual report.
Any comments really?
No.
Especially on the semi-annual.
No. I think we're looking pretty good. We do need a motion to approve the semi-annual report.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
All in favor?
aye,
Aye. Right. You set a date for the Board of Equalization hearings.
and they have to be between, what time and what time, as far as, dates, well, we have like a month or.
No, we have to have decisions. We need to do them by August 5th, I believe.
They have to be done by August 5th.
Yes. Between July 1st and August 5th is when we have to hold the hearing.
How can we schedule this if we don't know how many protests there are? Really, I mean, protests coming to us, how we can, I mean, let's say we scheduled one. But there are more protests than we could deal with, and it would be nice to know what that figure is. There's a lot, aren't there like, weren't there last time like 20 or 10 like last year? And didn't we get through it in a night or 2 nights?
Not last year, but the year before. There was.
Last
We've always been able to do it in
One meeting,
one
right?
evening, but this one might, I don't know how.
I think before we set a date, I'd like to know.
Well, I
Or
think,
not.
I think we need to set a date, and then we can always extend that date to another date.
Yeah.
You can't, like, say we put the date on August 5th and we couldn't finish, can you?
We
file
would
for
continue
extension?
the hearings to another date.
You could do that legally.
We have to have them done by the deadline.
By the deadline, we couldn't
Oh,
schedule it for the
You
5th.
can't tell the state that, hey, August 5th, we did our meeting, but we couldn't finish, we want to have a meeting on August 5th.
I don't like that.
So you should schedule earlier.
You have to get them in before the
All right.
state deadline.
I forgot to put it on the calendar.
We run into a little bit of an issue in that in the past, but anyway, yeah. But yeah, have a backup date in mind that's still ahead of.
I mean, the thing is we have to have a day schedule because I have to get the information to the people that are appealing and give them a time and date and, you know, the protocol for the meeting and stuff, so.
What do you suggest, Willie?
So I'm planning to be out of town after our meeting on the 28th through the 5th for a river trip too.
Oh, man.
My good friends is turning 40 and he got the golden ticket this year for the middle fork of the Salmon, which is the most competitive river trip in North America now, so.
So we're gonna know by the 15th how many we have. Right, well. We're gonna know by the 15th how many we have.
Right.
Who's buzzing? That's me.
Not me.
Just checking.
So you'll know very shortly whether you have to tack an extra date on. Yeah.
So what date were you gone, Austin?
I'm after our regular meeting on the 26th. I'm probably gonna leave that next morning and I'll be gone
So.
through I'll be gone for
Can
kind of a long time.
you have a board of equalization with just 2 commissioners though?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
You just need one. But.
It'd be better to have 3.
We, you know.
How about, let's see, what's 15th, how about the 17th of July? That's a Monday.
Yeah, that's, that I won't have time to notify everybody, because I won't even get. The appeals.
Okay.
What about that next week, the 24th, before our regular meeting?
So we'd be,
Or the 25th?
It'd be at night, right?
When were you coming back?
Yeah, it's past the 5th because we're doing the
That's
meeting
what I
too.
thought you'd say.
And
So, yeah, so, I mean, I think we're looking at the 24th to the 25th if we went off.
Can we do it at night?
What's that?
Can we do it at night?
Yeah.
Okay.
is the 24th our evening meeting?
No,
Oh,
26.
26.
Oh, okay. What days are the 24th?
It's Monday and Tuesday.
Monday is my least day that I would have a chance of having any other meetings like ambulance, historical society, whatever.
Monday is good for you?
Monday usually is okay, so.
I could do Monday.
Monday, especially after 5 o'clock is good, you know.
Yeah, and we may have to, I mean, if we do get a bunch of meetings, we may have to start at like 5 or something like that, but normally we would start at 6:30 and. just
Okay.
go.
Let's do that.
And then the hearings are, you know, scheduled for 20 minutes each, so we can actually get.
We can move through a lot of people, because there's no debate, they present their thing, Kim presents her thing, and then. We make a decision, isn't that? Or make a decision, don't we hear it first, and then at the end of the night, we make our decision?
Yeah, you don't have to make a determination, you know.
You can just listen to the information
They,
and then move on.
Kim presents, they present, they can, cross-examine each other, you can ask any questions.
One time, right, they can cross-examine once, and then.
Yeah.
Just to keep it at 20 minutes.
And then, yeah, and then you just keep everybody on track, and then at the end of the evening or another time, you come back and make your determination.
Are you gonna do it that way?
That's usually how I do
If there's a bunch of them?
it. Yeah, well.
Hopefully, there's not a bunch of them.
Yeah.
So Monday, what's the date on Monday?
24th.
24th, okay. And 6:30?
Probably.
And if push comes to shove, the 27th I could do too, but it just would involve me like driving through the night afterwards. Because I think I have to be in Boise in the morning of the 28th.
I feel bad for you.
Yeah, you're not getting a lot of sympathy.
I did about half of this river 20 years ago. With the same guys, so.
Sounds like a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 Right?
All right,
Ready?
yeah, let's,
Uh,
let's go back to
Yeah.
correspondence before we do commissioner and staff reports.
Okay.
Just really quick, the Bonita Peak mining update, you guys, there's nothing informational here, but they're gonna maybe do some road closures on County Road 2 in August, September, and October. That's all Pond 4 related,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
I think they put a little ditch in there somewhere. I couldn't.
We could probably make a good
I just couldn't.
I know. During that time, there'll definitely be people, if they're gonna do a road closure right there. Will they be doing a road closure into the powerhouse there too, into that little area, and is there,
No, they can do a detour through the power.
well, that's what I'm wondering, is because that's
They're not gonna do it.
If they were doing any road closures, it's supposed to be.
A detour.
One lane at a time.
Okay,
Oh,
all right.
So
Yeah.
they would.
I just wanted the powerhouse folks may not be, I'm not saying the powerhouse, but
If,
the sub-
no, they would have, if they, detoured to the powerhouse, they would have to get the powerhouse.
approval.
Historical society
Okay,
approval.
the society's approval, yeah. Well, I think now it's actually the leasers and the rent and landowners out there. On the boats, because there's enough.
Right.
By the bylaws, enough of those properties have sold, but now it's basically an HOA.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I don't think it'd be that bad.
No,
No. You never know though.
all right, proposition HH. Gotta be honest, I was able to browse through some of this, but this was not, all day meeting today, I didn't get a chance to.
No, and.
Really fully.
Yeah, it's just kind of informational, there's a couple of newspaper articles that kind of. Clarifies, I mean, what the intent was.
but you felt like you explained it better.
Oh, much.
Up there.
You know,
I haven't had a chance.
The question between what the intent was and what
Hmm,
the,
what's really gonna
what
happen?
the judges determined, it could be two different things.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
I
I mean, there's still, I mean, there actually have been a couple of cases that got dismissed, based on the
multi-issue questions in the
yeah,
ballot.
and, but yeah, no, there's still, Tabor proponents that feel like this is, short circuiting Tabor and.
Yeah, I think the best part about this packet that Willie put together is it talks about, that one of the articles talks about pros and cons. And what one side is saying is gonna happen, what the other side is saying is gonna happen. So it's a good read. I mean, if you want to understand it, it's a good read because at least you get the perspective. Oh, I get it. They're basically short circuiting Tabor refunds. But also claiming that they're dropping tax rates. So some people are saying, yeah, you're not going to give Tabor refunds, but you claim you're going to lower the tax rates, and so it's very interesting on both sides. But it's a good read.
It kind of brings it, give you a little better understanding of.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's definitely an end around Tabor in a certain way. Sure.
And if anybody is interested, after the last meeting, I talked to Deanna because, the treasurer is supposed to come up with the, what we lose if, that if HH passes, and she said they hadn't even talked about it, and then today she sent me an email that they are setting up a meeting next Tuesday from 1 to 3 p.m. The treasurers, any of us
Can attend.
you can attend if you'd like to via Zoom to talk about what their duties and issues are. So.
I mean, for what it's worth, I think the county's pretty much along for the ride.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot of action to be taken unless you want to join in a lawsuit or something, but. I think the arguments are being made out there and I think it's just a matter of seeing how they're resolved.
All right, I think that moves us on to public comment. For our listening audience out there, if there's anyone in our listening audience who'd like to make a public comment, please do so now, Hillary. All right, seeing none, we will close the public comment. Commissioner and staff reports.
I have one, just to recap, I haven't forgotten about Hillary, we have 2 dozers down, I went into Louis' office, talked to him. He still is on, when he gets 1 dozer fixed and they get a little caught up,
Yeah,
it's still, just to let you guys know, that drainage problem is on the books with Louis. And I'm actually gonna, I might even help just with the whole, just cleaning up, because they don't have a backhoe, just cleaning up or load them or something, and just clean up that culvert. You know. 20, 30 minutes of work.
Over that, the
The burrito. Amble Mountain.
back over here, oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what was causing the drainage problems for
Partly,
part.
it was part of the road, we need to ditch it on that side, Louis agreed to that, and then. Ditch it to where the culvert can do its job. Instead of going towards her house, it goes
Oh,
that
I
way.
see what you're saying. It's
Yeah,
gonna funnel
yeah,
it
yeah,
towards
yeah.
the culvert. Okay.
Yeah, so just let you know, I haven't dropped the ball on that. Just- Fine. That's all I have.
I had no meetings or anything like that. I did have. I had a constituent that said they didn't want to join the San Juan Trail Riders to get information about the pastures. They think she thought the county should be putting a little post up about what roads are open and what roads are not. Seemed like a good idea.
Can I help you guys?
Well, is this an open meeting?
it is, yeah.
We just wanted to observe.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. The San Juan Mountain Trails Group?
Yeah, you actually have to join the trails group. You just can't go online, you have to be a member to actually, is that correct? I think that's how it goes. And this constituent says, well, I don't wanna be required to join anything, I would just like to be able to go to the county website and see what roads are open.
Yeah,
And that would be a good public service.
yeah.
Don't you guys have that?
I don't think we're doing it.
Well, it was a Facebook page, I think, that's what I'm thinking of.
I think that's Michael Maxfield's.
That's Maxville's, it's not an official county
Yeah, but you still have
piece of
to,
business.
to see Mike's information, you have to join as a member.
Oh, the San Juan Trail Riders?
Yes,
Oh, really?
and he has like 38,000 members or something like that now.
Does San Juan County have a Facebook page?
No.
No.
It's interesting because I've been planning a hike, just on a personal level, I'm planning a hike next weekend, not this coming, but the following, and I keep looking for information on which of the hikes are open, and you sort of have to wait for someone to respond on Facebook. I've been up there,
Yeah.
I haven't been up
Well, there isn't much information out there about the trails either.
No, so I'm wondering if I'm gonna be able to go where I wanna go, and
I mean, I get a bunch like in my business, because people say, hey, we went to Ice Lake today, and I go, how far did you get? Or we went to. I haven't talked to anybody who's been up, well, I've talked to one person who's been Highland Mary's, but.
is it, that's when I was.
No, they went from, they did the Whitehead Trail and fought snow all the way to the Highland Mary's just about.
It's good.
Highland Mary is good, I don't think Stony is,
The
the top is.
Oh, it is.
Okay, good.
Wow.
There you go.
That's news, that's.
Okay,
that's news
good.
to me.
And then there's a snowfield on top.
Oh, yeah.
The Hard Rock 100 runners actually dug through. They hand dug through the through the happy slide path because the both dozers are done to get their aid station.
Yeah.
And they've been digging any snowfield that is covering part of the Hard Rock Trail, they're trenching or tunneling through some of that stuff too.
Yeah.
Just saw some pictures yesterday, that's like,
Yeah.
like little giants, like, whoa.
These-
But you don't want runners trying to kick step across some of that stuff, it'd be deadly.
Ultra trail work.
Like I said, that's why this other job, the two dozers being down is
What happened to the second dozer?
corner bit, the whole corner bit on the moldboard. Which is, where the cutting edge attaches, you can't run it with, they had to weld a whole new. I think they're fixing it in-house.
Oh,
The other one's down at Cat with some major problems.
Cat actually picked it up.
and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
did,
Good.
what did turn out to be that problem
I don't know, it was
Because they lose it.
antifreeze in the oil.
in the oil? And,
That can be head gasket, that could be a $30,000 fix.
Hmm.
Luckily, it's not, we lease them.
yes, thank goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Thank goodness.
If they got it. But. They don't give you a,
I didn't realize that both were down though.
yeah,
Yeah. And here's a question too for you. San Miguel has made no effort to plow up to Ophir from their side, or are they even plowing Imogene from their side? Have you heard anything?
San Miguel
San Miguel County.
County, okay,
Ophir's still not open?
no,
Oh, wow, somebody told me
they always
2 weeks ago.
balk at that.
Say again.
They always balk at that. They don't want anybody in their
they're
town.
not this side. Ophir should be one of the first ones open, just
It should be.
because it's such a route.
Think that they said they were gonna focus on imaging. And then they were gonna get to the other passes, but they basically said they're not even gonna fly block there this year.
And they did say that they had a bunch, there was something about washouts on roads and they were gonna focus on. When the snow melt was so high that they had some washout problems, or they're gonna focus on repairing those first and then. Going after the passes, but that was like several weeks ago, but
Yeah.
it's really late for Ophir not to be open.
Yeah, it really is.
And that's
I mean,
kind of a major tourist artery.
by July 4th, usually.
Yeah. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Have a good night.
Yeah, I just wish it was open.
Yeah.
If you happen to be in a phone conference with San Miguel County Commissioners, you might ask them.
Yeah.
Not until next week. And the San Miguel guys haven't been coming to our meetings because Hillary's gone.
She stepped down,
She
right?
stepped down, she took a new job and she stepped down and
I heard rumor that, maybe you told us about that. That's too bad. She was a great-
Yeah,
she was-
we hadn't heard from her replacement. yet.
She was really a good county commissioner too.
She wasn't always popular in San Miguel. Hopefully I'm in trouble by saying that. I really enjoyed it.
Political figures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worked with her on
We can slander each other as
Yes.
political figures. It's good to know.
You know, like the population in Oakwood, probably from this breed. San Miguel County.
From doing that.
They do.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely do.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple years where it's been beyond July 4th. And wow.
They have businesses that depend on that traffic. I've seen kids out there selling lemonade and lemonade from the.
Why they have the,
Many
why they have
times
this-
riding the dirt bike.
why they have the
Yeah.
speed bump there,
Little lemonade.
lemonade stand.
Yeah.
I don't think we should go too far into our meeting from today, because we could talk a long time about what
You want
happened.
to just digest and then kind of.
I think that's part of it. We haven't even been given the slides yet for everybody's stuff, but
Yeah,
we should
but
definitely get
you guys
everybody.
get-
That would be good once we get the
You
slides.
guys get a
Yeah.
couple of those slideshows. I'd love to have them forward to them because then I can watch it at my
Maybe
leisure.
they'll probably come to me because when I registered you guys, I used my email.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
as soon as I get them all forward.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks
But they
thanks for
too.
going too.
They've got hyperlinks on all the slides, so if you're reading through it and something, you're more you're curious about something, you can click on it and it'll actually take.
Which is nice.
Yeah, I would just summarize it as this: between the Inflation Reduction Act and the IIJA or the EIL, there is a lot of money. They're estimating that there is gonna be $9 billion in funding, $25 billion in tax credits, and that they've, through Corona stimulus money that they've already spent, 3 to 4 billion, just as a reference. So what we've been seeing is only not even half of what's to come.
Wow.
And
But you have to know what to apply for and who to apply to.
And
How to take advantage of that.
it was part of the education today.
Well,
It
that's
was,
fantastic.
it is so hard, I think, for all these programs coming out, that it's such a moving target that a lot of these folks who were talking to us today were like, sometimes I get information about you, they work for the state of Colorado and they get the information about the newest program coming out through press releases that are,
I think that one gal Tiffany was dreading it. How many calls she gonna get?
oh,
Right?
yeah.
I think what's scary, and I've seen, over my time doing this stuff is when you see the grant money come down and you see infrastructure being built, especially county buildings. And then not remembering how much the maintenance costs and how much stuff and
Oh, yeah,
how much utilities and
very good point.
all of a sudden you get, oh, we get a free whatever
We got
building.
this, and this,
And
but
then
we can't maintain it.
And then 10 years later, you're talking about something goes wrong with the roof or the heating system. We're seeing a lot of that over.
I was always, they always wanted, there was a guy in town proposing a swimming pool we built. And I was one of the naysayers because of maintenance. I said, you haven't included what it's gonna cost. You can say you get $1 million grant to build a swimming pool, but it's an expensive proposition to keep a pool going.
And what are you sending down the line 30 years? If all of a sudden there's a major renovation that needs to be done 30 years later, how do you know what kind of condition the county's gonna be in financially at that point? Yeah, so it's just,
It seems good at the time, but you gotta look farther than that.
yeah, you guys really have to be, you really have to be fortune tellers almost, right on the county.
I had to laugh. These guys, these presenters are, well, we've got 6 billion in this and 5 billion here and 9 billion here and stuff. Went to the breakout session and Mark Rudolph was presenting on Brownfield. He said, we got $1.5 million. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Be talking pennies.
Exactly.
But
And I would just say it was great that we had pretty strong representation. I think Pete and I were the only commissioners there at all.
Oh, really?
And-
Wow.
I didn't see anybody else.
Where are the other administrators there?
La Plata and not administrator.
Not administrator.
I don't think there's any administrators.
There was some staff from La Plata.
Yeah, the Durango and La Plata had a lot of staff there.
They have all staff.
Archuleta County had a lot
Mhm.
of people there.
Yeah.
I was kind of happy with Gloria and
And
Public
John,
Works.
Yeah, I know.
I was there. I was
Between the three of us and
because of-
in the town, we had your, I think.
sewer
Yeah.
things and something,
Yeah.
they're being mindful of
Much
this
of
stuff.
Their big plant, but they may have to do the big
Yeah.
build there.
just all the people we get to, that we never get to see, we get to see all in the same room,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Ellen Kadich from Hickenlooper's office, John Whitney from Bennett's office.
Yeah, they were all there.
And, Patrick, I don't think I've ever seen the three of them in the same room.
It was great to catch up with Patrick.
Right
Yeah.
now, was that?
Yeah, that was great.
Patrick was great to catch up with.
And actually, Naomi, she was there just for a little bit. Laura Barbett's staff person was there too.
Yeah.
Just over lunch.
Yeah, she was.
Nice.
She was there.
She was there.
Did you see any federal agencies there? Like BLM or Forest Service, anything like that, or?
No, but there were people from like US Department of Transportation.
USDA.
USDA,
Yeah, I mean,
there were definitely some. Yeah.
I gotta try to take care of it. Thank you.
Yeah, be careful, watch out for critters.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing
We'll try
that.
not to get in trouble.
I think
in
you're
your
fine.
house.
Yeah,
That's why he's.
that we, the US Forest Service, Ben Martinez, we heard from him during that, and he has a new company and we're talking more about that.
Did he
Well,
say who
technical
his
service.
successor was or who?
No.
We still don't know who the new guy is.
No, we don't.
Did you ever find out about that?
I might
Hard to
tomorrow,
find
I
out.
might drop by the office and just see.
I'm really curious, and the reason I'm curious is.
Probably the only way you're gonna find out, is go to the office.
But where's, I heard that La Plata County went to stage 1 fire restrictions.
They did, that's what I heard too.
Does that mean Forest Service and BLM have done, we haven't heard
Basically,
anything.
it's there, and it just, I got home this evening and checked the email, Forest Service is doing a stage 1, lower elevation.
Okay, and the reason I'm bringing it up is just, and this was a couple of weeks ago, a couple of short walks from the forest. Forest is pretty darn dry.
Correctly.
And it's got even worse with these high winds, just sucking moisture out.
Yeah, and no rains.
And this is around 4th of July, there's campers with bonfires about this tall and stuff, so. Holy cow, yeah, I don't know, that's why I want to know what they're doing, who the new guy is. Whatever happened to the Ice Lake thing, we talked about restricting the amount of traffic on Ice Lake. It'd be nice to even know what the count is this year, is it higher, lower? Just more impacts, because there's a lot of people out there for sure.
Yeah.
But sometimes if I ever find out who the new guy is, I'd like to meet him.
Yeah.
Up here.
We did, John Whitney said that he had planned to come up here and do office hours earlier in the spring, in like April and May, but he just couldn't get up here.
Okay.
So he said it's likely going to be the fall before we see him, but he does pretty frequently show up on those.
He's very accessible by phone though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Helen's great.
Yeah. I don't got anything more, you guys.
All right. Yeah, not for tonight. It's been enough. It's been a long day of meetings. This is pushing, we're not quite at 12 solid hours, but we've been going at it since 9 this morning.
Appreciate that.
2 hours
Yeah.
of travel time.
Yeah.
2 hour what?
2 hours of travel time.
Yeah.
A lot of sitting.
Yeah, it's been a lot of sitting today, but that's all right. Yeah, thank you guys. Well, adjourn this meeting at 9:42.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home and get some supper.
Yeah. I munched about a half a sandwich.
That's what I had. I had about 6 minutes.